Dave, welcome back.
Hello.
You are not here.
I am.
In a studio, game room, whatever. But we are here to talk about two games that I don't know why I picked this. I think, what did we do last time?
Man, it's been way too long. Last time we did...
I honestly can't remember. What the hell did we talk about?
Last time we did the Saturn arcade ports.
That's right. Okay, so we played basically decent games last time. Yes. I don't think there's anything...
No, there was nothing really
bad at all.
No.
Well, after that, I'm like, well, I don't know. For some reason, I kind of enjoy playing bad games.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a weird pastime of mine, just to sit down. Like, I like the Atari Jaguar, for example, because it's so, like, miserable.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, like, you play Kasumi Ninja, and it's like, holy shit, this is, like... This is maybe the worst fighting game I've ever played. Then you play like other games, like it doesn't really get better.
What other fighting game lets you put a fireball out your
out your red crotch, redhead crotch? I guess. Yes. I don't know, man. What a even Alien vs Predator, which is like commonly referred to as one of the flagship games, like that sucks. It's not. It's barely playable.
I'd rather play any Doom than that, honestly.
I'd rather play Last Action Hero on NES, like maybe even X-Men, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's we're not talking about Atari Jaguar today. We are talking about two games, and I'll get into those in a second, but I'll let you know what they are. It's Aquaman. What's the full title of this?
Aquaman Battle for Atlantis.
Battle for Atlantis on Nintendo GameCube.
Yeah.
I'll get into why I picked those, I guess, in a sec. The second game is Superman 64. I think it might also be called The New Adventures.
Yeah, I think it's New Adventures of Superman.
Even though I didn't see that on the label.
No, I think it might be on the main title screen. Or whatever. I mean, their quality control on that game is so bad. It wouldn't shock me if they just neglected to leave out part of the title.
Neglected to name the game when they were done with it.
Like they changed their mind halfway because Warner Brothers came in and said, nope. You have to name it exactly the same as the cartoon or whatever.
Oh, is that actually the name? See, I never followed Superman.
I believe that's the name of the cartoon, and I think the story of that game, we'll get into it, but I think the story of that game is executive meddling, licensee meddling, and that, a lot of that.
Do you happen to know if, we're not talking about Superman yet, but we're kind of talking about it. Do you happen to know if that game is based off of like an episode or something of that cartoon, or just random bullshit they made up?
Random bullshit they made up.
No, okay. You never went into a virtual world?
No. I like James's idea that literally they made up with that because they had no way of having any kind of draw distance worth a damn, so they had to invent the kryptonite fog to make up for it.
Is that what that is?
That green fog, they literally call it a kryptonite fog somewhere in the game.
Okay.
It's in the simulation. Luther put it that way intentionally. Anyway, it wasn't because our game is shitty.
All right, so those would be the two games we're talking about: Aquaman on GameCube and Superman 64.
Yeah,
for reasons other than the fact I just kind of wanted to torture Dave, and I like bad games, so that's why we're playing those today. I did want to start off with a rant on game collecting recently.
Do tell.
I don't know. Did I tell you about the story of the Xbox lady?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is like 2 months ago now. Like we haven't talked in a little bit. You've been dealing with a bunch of shit. I've just been busy. Like, we haven't talked much recently, but
life happens.
Yeah, there's a lady up in Rio. I don't know how to say the town name. It's like 25 minutes away from here, or whatever. And she hits me up. She's like, "Hey, I have a ton of original Xbox games." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not a big Xbox collector at all. Like, I have probably, 50, 60 games of just like stuff I might play one day. Stuff like if I got rid of that collection overnight, I wouldn't care, stuff like that."
Yeah.
But she had 250 something original Xbox games that were apparently like her son's back in the day, and they've just been sitting around the house. She's like, "Hey, I want to sell these." Okay, cool. So I'm looking them up, and it takes a while to go through that many games, and I'm not super familiar with Xbox, so I like look up each game on price charting to get kind of a feel for what the collection's worth. And the collection comes out to like 2,000-ish, price charting.
Yikes.
But that's like 255 games. So like the amount of crap that was in there was like a lot.
A lot of stuff that'd be hard to sell.
Yeah. A lot of like $5 to $8 games, which you're not going to sell those locally. And I don't typically get like a booth at a Gamecom or something to be able to sell this shit off.
Yeah.
So like I'd just be selling it off on chunks or whatever. I don't know. I'd probably end up keeping most of it and then doing something with it later on.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm like, okay, 255 games. There's bound to be some good stuff in there. And I found some treasures. Out of the 255, there's probably 25 to 30 games that were $30 or more.
Sure.
Which is a very small chunk of that overall size lot. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, those are the games I'm super interested in, but of course, I'll just buy the lot and deal with it later. No big deal.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay. And we kind of barter back and forth. We end up settling on a price of $750, which leaves a lot of room to make money on.
Yeah.
And also, even if I just keep it all, that's a good price to just keep it all at.
Sure.
And I'll deal with it later.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. I write down, anytime I do this with a big lot, I at least write a list of every single, like, game that's worth money.
Yes.
So I can just double check while I'm there and just make sure that stuff's there. If she leaves out a couple cheap ass games, I don't give a shit, know?
Yeah.
Oh no, like, a copy of DOA 2 isn't there. Like, I don't care. It's fine.
There's only one copy of Halo, not 3.
Right. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll typically look for the expensive stuff, and they'll just do a final count just to make sure like a big chunk isn't missing.
Yeah.
So I get there, takes 25, 30 minutes to get there, and she's got it all in boxes, which is great. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, it's going to take me probably 20 minutes just to look through all this stuff. I have my list. Just going to make sure it's all here. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open up some games just to make sure the discs are there. Okay, no big deal. She's like, yeah, that's fine. And of course, like, her and her husband are literally standing over me the whole time, just watching. I'm like,
yeah, fair enough.
Like, okay. And I'm telling them, like, right before I did this, I'm like, I only do this because I've gotten burnt a couple of times back in the day where, like, people wouldn't include discs or people would intentionally leave out, like, an expensive game.
Yeah.
And of course, like, I don't think anything of it, but they look kind of nervous. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, like, whatever. If you guys are cool sitting here just watching me, I'm cool with just going through all this shit. No big deal.
Yeah.
So I'm going through all of it. And I'm looking for the most expensive games first, and I don't see them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, do you guys have another box somewhere? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, dude, I don't know Xbox. Maybe I'll just double check. Maybe I've done that sometimes. I'm kind of blind, whatever.
Yeah.
So I look through it again, and I'm gonna notice, I'm like, every expensive game
is gone.
Huh. Every single one that was worth like more than $30 is conveniently missing.
I have two potential theories there.
And I'm like, and I asked them, I'm like, okay, something is up here, right?
Yes.
I'm like,
yeah.
These are the specific games I'm looking for. There's a couple $100 games, and there's a few like $80 games, and there's a bunch of like $40 games.
Yeah.
I'm like, none of these games are here. You sure you don't have another box somewhere?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, well, I think my sons came and took a bunch of games the other day. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here, I'm like, lady, you're trying to put one over. I have $750 of cash with me.
Yes.
And like, I think she just wanted me to blindly give her the money and just take boxes away.
Yeah.
And then like, too bad, too sad later.
No.
And it's like, dude.
Wow.
At this point, I'm like pissed. I didn't like say anything to him. I'm just like, well, I don't need all this cheap shit.
Yeah.
We agreed on a price and there's like 30 games missing out of this that were essentially
the main reason I was interested.
The only reason I'm here.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, I don't think I can keep it. I don't think I can do anything with this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm huffing and puffing on the inside. I'm pissed. I'm just like, fuck it. I just walk back off my car. And then I'm like, I bet you I can still pull some off here. So I just yell out my door. I'm like, hey, would you guys do me a solid? And can I just buy like a handful of games? I think they were kind of like just embarrassed. Yes. So they're like, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yes.
So I went in there and I literally searched for anything that was like $25 or more.
Yeah.
I ended up getting like, probably $400 worth of games for like $100.
Sure.
Still, a good find. And all those games I just kept because it's like, I don't care, whatever. Maybe I'll play them someday. Maybe I won't.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just sell them. I don't know. But then they pulled out a Coleco set, which didn't have the Coleco Vision, but had a like, 40 something games, like games I've never even heard of. So I'm like, I don't know, how about $40 for these? And she's like, okay.
Yeah. $1 a game or so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was doing price charting afterwards when I got home, and lo and behold, that's like a $500 set. Cause there was a few rare ones in there. I'm like, okay. Like that worked out. So like, it ended up working out at the end, but I'm just like, dude, I hate when people do that. And I haven't had somebody try that in a long time on me.
I was wondering, was it going to be that they offered them to someone else, or someone came by and sniped all the good stuff, or was it going to be that they actually were hiding things away and trying to screw you over? What
she was trying to tell me, I was making some small talk with her after the fact, and she's like, well, yeah, my sons came the other day and I thought I sent you a new picture. And I'm like, no, you definitely didn't.
No.
I'm like,
That changes everything.
You basically tried to shortchange me by like $600. Let's just be real here, but
yeah, that would be a nice thing to say. I'm here with $750. That's worth $100. You know?
I'm like, I don't want all these like shitty $5 Xbox games. Like I said, if I had a game store, like a booth at a GameCom,
right,
I'd offer $2 a pop and just try to take the lot and just, you know, I'll make my money's worth. But like as a online seller, like I'm not going to sell that shit on eBay.
No, it's not.
There's not like a big Xbox collector thing to do locally. I'm just going to end up sitting on like boxes worth of Xbox cheap ass games I don't want.
Yeah, if there isn't a restore type thing in town that's good buying all those for you.
And like Video Game Exchange probably don't want many of them either. They might just offer me my money back on them. So like, you know, could I do them a solid and do that? Probably, but you know, it's not worth my time really.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only time.
Wow.
People tried that. Literally a week later, I was buying a large, not really a large collection, but I was buying all this dude's childhood shit for like $600. Again, another expensive thing, but hey, I saved $700 from before, so why not?
Yeah.
So he sends me pictures of everything that's on there, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. And I go there, and I'm looking through again, just looking for the expensive stuff, just getting a count of items, and lo and behold, there's a box missing.
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I'm like, hey, there's supposed to be a box. It was just for Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that expensive, but you're still talking like an Ocarina of Time loose is like $35. 35 to 40, depending on condition.
Yeah.
With the manual, that's like another $10. With the box, that's like another $50. So it goes from like 40 to 50 to like 100 to 120 pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, where's the box for this? He's like, oh, my wife wanted to keep it. I didn't think you'd see it in the pictures. I'm like, we have a problem here, guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, would you do less? He's like, no. I'm like, so you just took something out and just wanted to do the same price? Yeah. Like, you throw in some games, otherwise I'm walking away with $600 and you're walking away with nothing. So he threw in a few like $25 PS2 games, but I'm like,
dude.
Like two in 2 weeks was a little much for me.
Yeah.
I was like losing my mind. Anyway, that's my current rant. And dude, I could talk for another hour about just this last month. People have been probably the worst month of selling I think I've ever had. Not from a financial standpoint, but just from are these people fucking out of their mind standpoint?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. It's got to be well after all the regrets selling after the pandemic and everything, but maybe it's just back to normal, I guess. I don't know.
Man, I don't know. The amount of people that have just wanted me to like throw in random like $200 items into like a deal that's already been made.
Yeah.
It's been like staggering this last month. Like I almost think it's the same guy that has like 10 accounts that just keeps wanting to like push my buttons, but it's not. It's just like people are just losing their minds. Like it's Wisconsin. It's getting colder. I think people just like naturally lose a few brain cells, but dude, I don't know. I actually wanted to just like close my Facebook account like a few weeks ago because I was just so sick of people. All right, I have one more rant. Just one more.
Now's the time.
There's this guy. He goes by Toy Man on Facebook. That's his name. Toy Space Man.
All right.
So this guy hits me up on one lot. He offers me half.
Yeah.
Which my immediate reaction is always no.
Yeah.
And he gives me a sob story. Hey, like, you know, I need this for my kid. I don't have money right now. Like, gives me one of those bullshit stories. Like, I've seen 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck at this point.
I need these retro games for my kid.
Do not care. I had one lady ask me for a $200 bundle for free because her kid, like, was sick.
Yeah.
And I said no. And I left the conversation. She left me a 1-star seller review.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off.
She's not even a buyer at that point.
No, she just wanted free shit. And I told her no. And she got all pissy. Like, no, I had Toy Man.
Yeah.
Sob story on one post. I just said no, left it at that.
Yeah.
Hits me up on another post, sends me the same story. I'm like, I literally messaged back. I'm like, dude, fuck off.
Yeah.
And then he started writing back. He's like, you better pray I never meet you.
Wow.
I'm like, what the fuck? Now I'm being threatened by a guy who calls himself Toy Man.
Yeah, you need to just start sending him memes of Pinocchio from Shrek.
I'm like, do I need to like call the police on you? Like, what is wrong with you, Toy Man?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Are you gonna send your army of Transformers against me?
Like, he's like, well, I'm a reseller too. I'm like, why do you give me this sob bullshit story about how you're so poor then?
You're not a serious reseller if you're pulling that shit.
Like, sell better toys, Mr. Toy Man, fucker.
Yeah, you're one of those people that thought this could be your job, and you don't realize that it takes some work. And it's very up and down, I'm sure, if you try to do that for a living. Dude,
the day I send sob stories to try to get a deal on shit is the day I just quit selling altogether.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're an adult. Make better decisions, Mr. Toyman.
It's not a sustainable business.
My wife's very good at, like, Facebook stalking people, and she found his real profile, and he's like some 40-year-old Mexican dude.
Wow.
Who's local to this area and just calls himself, I don't know. Just sells toys.
I think there's a lot of people that decided that they could literally make it their job to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you probably can, but I mean, that's not going to be consistent.
No. Trust me, I almost try, and it's like, you maybe get a few $100 a week if you're lucky, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to bust your butt like crazy to get that much.
Yeah, that's why, if you look outside this room, I have so much shit.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to go through all that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's broken, and then you have to try to fix it, or you just abandon it and just say, well, I just got fucked on that lot, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I have 6 NESs out there that I had to repair. Yeah. Those are always messed up. Dude, it takes so much time to go through this shit.
Yeah.
You can make it a full-time job, but, also, you have to sell online, which, Anyway, let's talk about Aquaman on GameCube, Dave.
All right.
The more I talk about this stuff, the more pissed off I get about it.
Fair enough.
And now we have to talk about 2 horrible, horrible games.
Well, I mean, I would say Aquaman is mediocre, Superman is horrible, but I don't know.
Okay, okay. Give your synopsis about Aquaman. Let's get that out of the way. Who made it? When did it come out? What's the deal?
So, it's an action-adventure game. It was developed by Lucky Chicken Games and published by TDK Media Active. And Lucky Chicken, if you've never heard of them before, they're mostly behind various games such as Hot Wheels, Land Before Time, Tonka, basically kids games, some mediocre licensed games. So yeah, if you wondered about the quality, no big shock. TDK seems like they mostly publish licensed games, so you're not going to expect anything from either. It was released in North America only, I believe, on July 30th of 2003.
Okay.
It's an interesting release schedule, because my understanding is it came out around the same time as the Aquaman character was rebooted, revamped by DC at the time. And that's what's funny about this, because the version of the character in this is the 90s Aquaman. He's got the long hair,
kind of grungy looking,
bare-chested, hook hand. It's kind of a piratey barbarian kind of thing. He had a lot of, wild barbarian type adventures undersea.
Yeah.
It was an interesting bit. People liked it for a while. He showed up on the Justice League cartoon, then Justice League Unlimited. People liked that version. He's very gruff. He's very angry, whatever.
That's kind of like the Jason Momoa way of doing it, but with a hook hand, right?
Yeah, basically. So that's the version of the character that's in this game. But the revamp that they did was doing away with that character.
Kind of going back to the original guy in orange spandex and tights.
Yeah, so he was the king of Atlantis. There's some back and forth about which version. There's 2 or 3 different, there's Arthur Curry, there's all these different versions of the character. But the important part is he gets booted out of Atlantis. The guy that you're talking to, who's his seneschal, or is the guy running the kingdom, I don't know if he exactly betrays him or if he just condemns him for whatever thing he was supposed to have done. He sentences him to banishment, and he's banished to the dry land, where he's gonna dry out and die like a fish or whatever.
Like anyone could stop him from just coming back and destroying him all anyway.
Yeah, I haven't read the storyline, so I'm not as familiar with it. But what I understand is he basically got rid of that look that he had in this game, and he goes back to the green pants, the orange scale shirt,
Aquaman,
and a water hand to replace his hook hand. I think he actually something about the Lady of the Lake and whatever from Arthurian mythos and whatnot. And so he's got this new look that looks a lot more like the classic Aquaman, and I think it did okay. I don't think it did as well as the 90s Aquaman.
I mean, it's Aquaman. Has he ever been a very popular character?
Not really.
I don't follow comics, but he's the last of like a main character on my totem pole that I care about.
He's one of those guys that is pretty consistently in the Justice League. Not always, but he shows up a lot. But he very rarely has a very good, solo presence in the comics. And so, this was one of their big, let's bring the character back. And so let's do a game with it. Except that they apparently didn't tell the people making the game that, hey, this is the version that's coming out. Let's do a game on this version. They did a version for the outgoing character.
Or they did the one that they knew.
The one that was popular, I guess. It's just weird. So that was the storyline behind it. And again, this is a company that makes, uninteresting licensed games. So and that also leads into another fun part, which is the music and the graphics. Not only do they have company that makes dull, uninteresting stuff, they literally brought in a company to make the dull, uninteresting music. That one Tommy Tallarico Productions, or whatever the name of his company is.
Is that really like they did the music for fucking Aquaman?
Yeah, and again, it probably wasn't actually Tommy. I think it's his company. I don't know how many people are working for him, but.
Isn't he technically listed as like a music producer on like Shark, like one of the brand new Amico / non-Amico games that came out?
Yeah, and Pat was just talking about how
it's just stock music that he found online and called it like his own sort of.
There was a point in time where Tommy, actually did interesting stuff with music for games.
Well, allegedly. Allegedly.
I think there probably was a point where I've listened to video games live. I've listened to some of the stuff he did that was interesting in some way that he's been involved with. But there's definitely a lot of stuff he's involved with where he was just pushing buttons, or somebody working for him was just pushing buttons, selecting things. You're not putting a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of games in like his quote unquote filmography or whatever you call it for video games that are just like, man, these games suck.
Yeah.
He works on a lot of bad games.
This isn't a game you would use to promote your brand.
No.
I did such a great job with the music in this game. No, this is beyond mediocre. It's all atmospheric music. It's just dull, dreary, repetitive,
boring as shit.
Yeah.
Like Superman 64 might have better music. It's debatable.
It's debatable. They're both pretty.
I can remember the tune from Superman 64.
Enough. Yeah,
I can't remember anything.
Agreed.
I literally beat Aquaman this morning. I can't remember the music.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And the sound effects are about the same. The sound effects might actually be better in Superman because there's more. I don't remember if there's any vocal stuff at all in Aquaman.
The punches in Superman all sound good.
Yeah,
they don't play good, but they sound good.
Yeah,
you get that good punchy punch sound.
Superman had some real crunchy sounds here and there.
Yeah,
but it had some good vocals, whereas Aquaman, just everything was just kind of mediocre, boring. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the music and sound. Bad. Gameplay and overall enjoyment. I don't think the controls are bad, at least. I mean, they're basic. I think they're an improvement over something like Superman,
Well, so let's talk about like what the gameplay actually is.
Yeah.
So like in most of your missions, there's 21 missions in the game. Yeah. In most of your missions, you fly to a group of like random. Okay, my bad. You swim.
You could be mistaken for flying, but you're actually
played so much Superman 64. Everything is
honestly the motion between the two.
It's almost identical.
It's basically identical. Yeah.
So okay, you swim.
Yeah.
Swim.
Definitely swimming
to a random group of like mindless, whatever you call them, mooks.
Yeah.
And you fight them based on like a slow plodding combat system.
Yeah, it kind of turns into it's almost a Street Fighter 2 one-on-one fighting thing, and you have combos you can do. You have a punch and a kick and a grab and various combos, and you potentially have other enemies swarming around you that can get involved in the fight. They can like get in behind you and punch you, or
it can be a one-on-one or a one-on like 8. I think is maybe the max.
So it's
maybe 6. I don't know, somewhere around there.
It's like you're playing Double Dragon, except every time you get close to an enemy, it zooms in and forces you to fight that one enemy.
Yeah,
and you can switch between them, but you can only ever hit one enemy at a time. There's not really any AoE attacks.
There's one AoE attack. It's called like Poseidon's Rage.
Yeah, kind of.
It is very good. That's the only one I spammed like towards the end.
But it takes you meters. So there's like a back attack, but it's not.
It's bad.
It's not like a double dragon where you'd be like regularly fighting multiple enemies back and forth and stuff. Like you're focusing on one enemy at a time, trying to take him down, and occasionally getting interfered with by others.
Yeah, it's like some of the other guys are like shooting lasers at you too, which is super annoying.
And you can't like pull. Well, sometimes you can, but usually you can't pull one enemy away from the others. Like there's a group of enemies. If you fight any one of them, the whole group is swarming around you, and you just have to quickly take them down before they get you.
And some of the enemies are like stronger versions of the other enemies. So like there's like a veteran version, elite version, an ultra version of the same enemy. Really, I don't like, some of them are harder to grab, I guess.
Some of them shoot more.
Some have like a larger life bar.
I think some of them, if you kill them quickly, then you don't get as many people back shooting at you. Like they'll always try and like get in close and take pot shots, but some of them you can take down quickly. Some of them, I think, so they drop power-ups sometimes. And I think it's always the same guy in a group that will drop certain power-ups. So if you repeat the same thing a couple times, which in some stages I was taking too many hits and I'd have to do it, you could figure out, okay, this enemy drops the power-up, so I want to kill these 3 first, then this guy to get a life up, and then these other 3. Like if you don't want to beat the guy with the power-up first, when you were still full life.
Yeah, I never really paid attention to that. I think we both played it in normal mode, as far as we know.
Yes. There's normal and easy, and honestly, I would have rather played easy, because I think the only thing easy mode does is I think they have less health.
Which makes the game feel maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't actually make it any more challenging on normal. It just takes longer. It's tedious. You're just sitting there wailing on these guys for way too long.
Oh yeah, it takes forever. I mean, each one of those opponents probably takes like a minute to kill. Sometimes a little bit less, but like sometimes they just endlessly block and they're hard to grab, and like eventually you can figure out ways to like kind of cheese the game. Yeah,
well, one thing I got used to early on, I'd start doing all the different combos. If you punch, kick, does something, kick, punch. There's all these different
parappa the rapper.
Yeah, but it doesn't really help. Really, what I got good at is being at the extreme range of my punches and kicks and hitting them. If you get to a certain range, they will rush at you and try and grab you, and then you punch them as they're coming for a grab.
Yeah, kind of like a counter.
And you just stay just far enough back where you can just keep tapping them for little bits and just keep doing the punch, kick, whatever. And because if you do anything else, like if you try and block, they'll grab you. If you try and do anything too fancy, very often they'll interrupt you. You know, the safest thing is just to cheese it out as much as you possibly can.
Well, the biggest thing I want to get out of the gameplay is like, it's not as crisp as you'd want it to be.
No.
So like these combos, if you look at the combo list, there's like probably 15 to 20 combos you can do.
Yeah.
It's quite an extensive list.
Yeah.
How you pull them off is like, I have no idea, because the controls in the gameplay feels like, I mean, you are, but it feels like you're underwater.
You're underwater, yeah. And they block constantly, especially like after the first half of the game. They're just blocking 90% of the time, and you're just trying to get your attacks through their blocks.
Yeah, and like you'll press A, but like it looks and feels like Aquaman is like, it feels like you're underwater trying to do a punch. You know how it's like super slow and it's like not, isn't Aquaman supposed to be pretty much like immune to the slowness of water?
Well, yeah, he basically grew up so deep under the water that his body is just used to it, is the idea.
So why in this game do you punch like you're underwater? Like you're fucking Aquaman.
Yes.
You should be punching faster than all these random faceless like human bad guys with a scuba suit on.
Yeah, I mean, the whole problem with Aquaman a lot of times is it goes back to the Super Friends days, when he wasn't allowed to punch anyone because it was for kids at the time.
Oh, sure.
And his power, so the only thing they let him do was call animals with his powers and stuff, so he would seem lame. This kind of harkens back to the lame Aquaman, because he's just doing these lame punches. He's not doing, the Aquaman at the time was much more badass. He was, he's like a Superman level, not quite, but he could go toe to toe with Superman. He could throw some mean punches.
Yeah, you throw some good haymakers and stuff in there. But like Superman ain't gonna sit there while you're throwing an underwater punch and just be like, all right, I'll just wait for it.
Yeah.
So that's what it feels like when you play this game. It is so slow.
I will say, like I said, I don't think the controls are actually bad. I was able to swim around fairly quickly, fairly accurately. But it doesn't really matter much, because the swimming parts are just getting from point A to point B.
It's getting to the next group of bad guys.
Every now and then you might have to get from here to there in a hurry and in a timer, or you might have to get to and kill enough enemies in a certain amount of time.
Yeah, but bad guys are like attacking a building, and you have to get there before it explodes.
Yeah, exactly. But so you have these fairly tight swimming controls and nothing to do with them most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the only thing you can kind of do in the levels that have the bad guys in them that you're just swimming around, sometimes there's some, like, hidden power-ups you can get.
Yeah.
But that's about it. So, like, if you're super low in health and you know you can't just go and face the next group of bad guys, you might just swim around to see if there's a life up somewhere.
Yeah, and
that's about it.
And most of these levels are just dead and empty.
Oh, they're like Superman 64 levels of dead.
Yeah, there's almost every now and then you see an NPC that you have to rescue. Otherwise, you never see any.
No,
you're not seeing any sign of activity. Most of them are the same dull, green-looking underwater city. You know, it's not really bright and colorful. There's not different, varied terrain or
it looks like you're just in the bottom of like a oil spill of an ocean. Like, it's not interesting to look at. You don't like find any coral reefs that look pretty. There's no fish really.
There's an underwater volcano. That was like the most interesting part. Maybe
it just has a red floor. Yeah, you know, that's about it. It doesn't really matter.
So it's done it's an okay engine for the time. It's the GameCube, so it wasn't, you know, setting the world on fire with its graphics. But it took that then and used that for the intro of the. So instead of doing a comic strip style thing, which might have looked good, it used the models of the characters to do these comic book style, and they just look bad, especially now. I mean, maybe they were impressed with them at the time. I don't know. All the cutscenes are done in comic strips using the in-game characters, and they look like Uncanny Valley. Yes.
Frightening.
Huge, you know, wide open mouths, dull surprise.
Like,
you know,
meme-worthy.
Meme-worthy, constantly meme-worthy. No audio, no talking. You know, the GameCube again, no talking, I mean, maybe they didn't have space for audio. I don't know.
I thought they would.
That disc, you know, the disc doesn't have. I forget how big GameCube discs are, but they're not DVD size. They're like
they're the mini discs, but like, I don't know.
They can't store the full DVD's worth of audio, I'm sure, but. I mean, I should say video, because audio at that stage shouldn't really matter, right?
Well, it's like, if you think about like Metroid Prime, there's a shit ton of audio in that game. Like,
yeah, like I think you should be able to cram a ton of audio and it shouldn't matter. Video, yes, that's where you'd start to run out of space. Maybe,
sure, I guess. I don't. But like, I can't think this game would take a ton of space. Like, it is such a dead game.
No, it like I said, it doesn't even get to video. It doesn't even get to audio most of the time, much less video.
This looks like slightly better than one of those like Windows 98 crappy computer games that you would get.
Yeah, and you literally get the bad, you know, pow, zap, you know, bang, sound effect bubbles, not effects, but sound effect bubbles in these cutscenes. And also sometimes you get like talking fish or sharks or whatever, which again, you know,
the talking sharks are neat.
Aquaman can talk to animals, but when he's doing it, it's almost like a comedy routine, but not. It's weird. He's talking to them like he's super serious, but he's like talking to them and they're like joking with him and stuff.
Yeah, remember, he was
weird.
Joking with the sharks towards the end of the game.
Yes, it's
like, well, we're not going to eat, so we're leaving, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like they're trying to be. There's a version of Aquaman who's kind of deadpan, snarky, funny. They did not pull it off here.
No, it was.
I will say, this era console, I just think it's insulting that they didn't even have any kind of voice work. And again, they had voice work in Superman 64.
Yeah,
you know, they didn't have it here.
I mean, not much. They had a few lines, but like, that's N64.
No animation. Like, if you're going to do it in the engine of the game, you do animation. You know, do animated cutscenes.
Yeah, these comic book strips were just not.
If you're going to do comic strip, do a comic strip.
And it's like these comic strips with like this crappy like ambience background music playing at the same time. Like, it is not. Interesting.
And I will say they use a lot of Aquaman's surrounding cast. You get Mera, his wife, you get Black Manta, you get Garth or Tempest, you get Dolphin, you get Ocean Master, and you get, I forget the name of the guy that's his seneschal. They barely are used. They just stand around and talk. Like, Aquaman drives the entire plot. He's like, I'm going to go do a thing. And everyone's like, should you go do the thing? I don't know. It sounds dangerous. I'm going to go do the thing. And then he goes and does the thing. And that's the entire game. It's just, you know, something happens and he reacts and everyone opens their mouth in surprise.
Opens their mouth widely in surprise. No, what I noticed too is like a lot of the times in the last missions, all the cutscenes were like, I've trapped you now. And then the bad guys, oh, are you sure?
Yes.
And it's like, oh shit, Aquaman's got to go save like, that happens like 3 missions in a row.
I mean, that's his whole thing. I mean, literally, that's his whole thing. You know,
it's like, geez,
she's gonna show up and beat up some punks. I mean, that's literally his thing.
I've trapped you now. Are you sure about that, Aquaman?
You better surrender, because that's a thing you're ever going to do once ever. I mean, this is literally, again, I'll get into comic book nerd mode. This is literally a version of the character who, depending on, he either had his hand bitten off by piranha, or he cut off his hand to save his son, who is going to be buried under a land. Like, he's not a passive character who's going to surrender. He's a, fuck you, I'm going to cut off my hand and choke you with it kind of character, you know? At this stage in his era, in his comics. But
one of the things I actually did like about this game, though, is you do get, in some of the missions, you get these other special power-ups where you can press the Z button, which summons like a random ocean creature, and it just takes an enemy away.
Yeah, and those were interesting because at first it was just fun, but later it became strategic because you'd pick the biggest, meanest guy and just... he's gone. Bye. And you'd have to save him because there's certain times where maybe you fight 3 guys here and that's easy, but maybe you'll fight 6 or 8 here. Yeah. So you want to save it for that because, again, they're sitting here blocking your half of your attacks. So you're like trying to kill them while they're blocking everything. Meanwhile, those guys are attacking you from behind. You can't block both sides, you know. So,
or on some of the timed missions where you just have to get through it. It's like, all right, I'm summoning this shark. Yeah. There's like a shark, a hammerhead, a dolphin, which attacks people.
Yeah.
Like puts them in their mouth and like carries them away.
Dolphins can hit pretty hard.
I guess it's kind of goofy looking though.
Yeah, it does look weird, but I think they can ram pretty hard against, like they fight sharks by like ramming into their gills or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Something like that.
It is just kind of goofy though.
Yeah. So yeah, again, you know, they didn't use the surrounding cast for anything. They showed them, you know.
Yeah, you never see them outside of cutscenes, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. I mean, you get to play. I think you get to play as Black Manta and Garth if you unlock them. Which why would you ever play? You have to play through the whole game again.
Yeah, why?
Yeah,
why?
So I think it had to have done a terrible job of hyping up the character because again, it's the wrong version of the character. You know, people are going to play this game and be confused,
or they'll play this game and be like, "Wow,
yeah,
I just spent $60 on this game."
Yeah. You do have these super moves, which you were starting to mention, which they're more complicated to pull off. They use the blue bar, which the funny thing is I played through like half or 3/4 of the game before I even bothered getting good at any of the combos. And I was kind of annoyed periodically where I'd see these blue power-ups and like, these are always useless to me. And then eventually I figured, okay, well, I kind of figured it was one of those, but I never used any of those combos. So I was like, what's the point? Eventually, I got good at the like little twirly thing.
I mean, it's just literally back A.
Well, but again, it's so
or forward A. It's one or the other.
The combos are so mushy that until you like, even I felt like even when I got pretty good at it, if I was doing that combo and if I didn't get it quite right, I was leaving myself open to get hit.
Oh, the game will straight up like skip inputs.
Right. And so it's
100%.
It's like, do I want to risk, you know, using this move, which will end the fight quicker, but if I screw it up, I'm going to get hit 2 or 3 more times. And if I keep doing that too many times, I'm going to run out of health and I'm not going to complete the mission.
So what I usually did is I saved the blue meter for, I think it's called Poseidon's Rage, which is the AoE attack. Because when you have 6 of them, it's very helpful.
Sure.
But then I would save the blue meter anytime I knew there's a boss fight coming up.
Yes.
I would save that entirely for the boss. Because you could...
It can be helpful.
With a full meter, you could get the boss down to like half a red bar from full health every single time. So...
Yep.
It's like, yeah, you might as well, because then you only have to hit him a few times and he's dead. So just another way to cheese bosses.
Yeah, I feel like the game is just missing like a couple of things really for the fighting to be enjoyable. If there was a better way to kind of exit combat to swim away for a power-up.
Yeah.
Like, you can switch mooks, but you can't exit a fight really, I don't think. If there's a way to dodge attacks, because again, you can block, but that makes you vulnerable to a grab, so it's pointless. If there was a way to dodge some attacks, that would be nice. If the difficulty of the mooks was more varied, like again, you have all these different mooks with different names, but mostly they just have different amounts of health, and maybe they hit a little harder, but there really isn't a lot of difference in the mooks. You know, you get some weaker ones, some stronger ones, more frequent power-ups, like actual, more interesting power-ups than just life-ups, you know, something. Yeah. It just, there wasn't much to be interesting.
At least they give you enough of them where the battles aren't totally super hard.
Yeah.
I think I only died a few times, and like a couple of those were just I ran out of time on some of those missions. But
I never really had any trouble until you get to the point where you start fighting those mer people, the fish people. The end. That's where I started having to restart missions a few times, and you know until I got good at cheesing them, and then I started getting through it no problem. But On some stages, you're supposed to be saving citizens that are in danger, and sometimes they give you an item. But again, it's literally they literally just float there. There's no menace. There's no danger. Yeah. You just fight the enemy, and then they're like, "Thank you. Here's an item. Bugger off." Whatever. And at least it does have an objective menu. It kind of tells you what you're doing, how many more things you need to do and stuff. But there's no there's not really a HUD hardly. There's barely any indicators of things. It's very minimalistic, a little too minimalistic. There's
literally a compass in the bottom left or bottom right.
Yeah,
and you just fly to the arrow and you fight bad guys. And that's the entire game almost.
Yeah, the cities are fairly sizable, but they're just dead and empty.
There's nothing to do in them.
Yeah. We could go through the missions a little, but most of them is just, you're in an underwater city, you beat up some mooks, you save some people. Mission 2 is the same thing, maybe more grouped up enemies, not really any different. Mission 3, you actually get Aquaman's sea spear ship, and it becomes like a X-Wing, Star Fox kind of game.
Debatably the best. Yeah, maybe not even debatably. It probably is the best part of the game.
I had much more fun with those stages because you're shooting things and they're blowing up. You have to target and whatever, but you're not just sitting there punching at someone's blocking all day long.
It gets rid of the combo stuff. Yeah. The movement seems fluid enough. It's not too bad. It's like a shitty version of Star Fox.
Yeah, you have a regular gun and you have missiles you can fire when you lock onto somebody. If you blow up enough ships, you'll get power-ups to restock your missiles.
Yeah,
it's fun.
The only thing that's kind of annoying is in the later one of those levels, you actually have to gun down the enemy TIE fighters. I don't know what else to call them, but they're basically underwater TIE fighters.
Yes.
You have to gun them down with your normal laser, which is very difficult in order to get power-ups to actually finish the level.
Yeah.
That gets pretty tedious.
Yeah, it does. Moving on, I think Mission 4 is more the same again, but it's a timer to get rid of 5 bombs. You have to, the only strategy there is just, don't get slowed down too much fighting some troops. Maybe you take more hits to kill them off faster, whatever.
You just fly to the next group and just try to beat it as fast as you can.
Yeah, Mission 6, same thing. More groups of mooks. That's the one I think where they're shooting the buildings. You have to kill them before they blow up the building.
Yeah.
Not interesting. Mission 7's another sub-level. That's the one where you're actually... It plays kind of like a Star Destroyer level in X-Wing. You're flying around this big spaceship, big underwater ship, and you're blowing up the turrets and the power cores and the things, and you can use your gun or you can use your missiles, and then...
It's probably the most fun level of the game, right?
Yeah, one of them. Yeah. Probably, yeah. I never really felt like I was in a lot of danger for the most part. You can kind of fully ignore the enemy ships.
I died a few times.
I did, but this big, huge enemy ship its turrets will kill you.
Yeah.
But the enemy fighters won't, pretty much.
No.
So you can pretty much...
They're there for power-ups.
The problem where it fails is in a normal Star Wars game, if you just sit there and do nothing and just shoot, you're going to get blown up. Here, you can literally float in place and blow up things one at a time and almost nothing will hit you. It's
a very poorly coded game.
Yeah, if you kill the enemy turrets quickly enough, there's no danger basically. It's just tedious. You might want to kill the enemy ships to get more missiles so you can kill the big thing more quickly. Whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Yeah, you're beating this. It's the Leviathan is Black Manta's flagship, I think.
Hey, it's cool.
That's neat.
Probably the best part of the game.
Mission 8, again, it's just like the other mission, just like the other beat 'em up missions. Same thing with Mission 9. Now you're going into his base. And then Mission 9 is where you fight the first hand-to-hand boss guy with Black Manta. And literally you just mash away at him the same as every other enemy in the game. He does have a laser attack that can hurt you by quite a bit.
I've never seen it.
But yeah, you have to be really screwing around for him to get a time to do it.
Yeah, I just 100 to 0'd him with whatever that spinny move is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't even... I don't think... I don't
wasn't much to it.
I don't think I got as good at the game as you did, and even I didn't have any trouble at all with him.
Towards the end, I used one combo, and then I used the 2 special moves. And that's and grabs. That's all I did.
I think the problem is it took me longer to just ditch all but the simplest combos. And
dude, I tried some of those complicated ones. You pull them off maybe 1 out of 20 times, and it's not worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, you just beat them up super easy, super anticlimactic. I think Mission 10 is when you start fighting slightly different looking mooks.
The lava guys?
I think that's the lava guys. No real difference. No. Mission 10, 11, and 12 are the same, except 12 then is when you fight the Lava Lord, the boss of them. That was, to me, that was where the difficulty of the game took a bit of a spike, because the Lava Lord, he can mess you up quickly if
he can. He can grab you and just beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. And so that's where I got good at starting to cheese the game. Yeah. Like I said, that's where you do not give him a chance to get up close, but you don't leave him alone long enough for him to do one of his super moves.
So using that spinning move, I actually got like a 40-hit combo on him.
Oh, nice.
Which, I mean, I don't know how else to do it, but yeah, I mean, that's basically how I beat him, just 100-0 him.
I wasn't good at the spinning move yet, so I literally was just doing the punch, 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 punch,
oh,
punch.
You can do that too. Like, the spinning move will take him down to like... a quarter of 1 health bar. Yeah. And then all you have to do is hit him like with 2 combos and he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's not really hard. It's just he can easily beat you up if you're not.
Yeah, if you get close to him, I did it like once or twice, and like he takes away like a third of your HP every time.
Yeah, he's a big skill check. If you were coasting through the game, that's where it wakes you up.
Yeah.
Let's see, mission 13, you start fighting these merfolk in these underwater ocean caves.
Okay.
And yeah, mission 13, 14, 15, are all, more nonsense.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Over. 16 is another shooting level. This one, you're fighting this giant, sea creature. And you have to...
It's like a big
sea dragon, seahorse thing.
It looks neat, I guess.
And I think this might have been the one you were talking about, because this one you have to shoot the glowing things on him with missiles.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt with the normal lasers.
Yeah, and when you run out of missiles, then you have to shoot ships to get more missiles, and you have a fairly short timer for the. You can very easily run out of time, and then he blows up your thing, and you lose, and you gotta repeat. So, again, not really hard, but it's you have to get your aim. Your aim has to get pretty good.
I mean, well, I'll put it this way: so like it's a hard mission, but it's a hard 3-minute mission.
Yes. Yeah, once you figure it out, it's not a big deal. And then from then on, it's basically just more fight with those merfolks, and this is where the game really crawled for me.
Oh yeah, it was so boring.
Those merfolk, they that's where they really get really bad with the blocking and the huge swarms of like 8 enemies at a time sometimes.
And there's like 30 of them per mission that you have to kill.
It takes so long.
So boring.
It's purely just you can't take any hits from most of the enemies.
I literally when I started playing this again this morning, because I just beat this morning.
Yeah,
I got to maybe mission 9 like before, and then I got from 9 to 21 this morning. Yeah. Dude, I was just laying down and basically playing with one hand. I was so bored.
Yeah, it's the only thing is they're actually dangerous if you get close to them. They like to grab you. They like to do, but yeah, if you get good at just staying out of their range, just barely tapping them, they're meaningless.
The way that I beat them all is I kind of discovered this method just out of sheer boredom.
Yeah,
but if you get close enough to them, you can grab them. They'll either block the grab or take the grab. If they take the grab, you just beat the hell out of them.
Yeah,
if they block the grab, you can immediately hit them with a combo.
Sure.
So all you have to do is just repeat that over and over, and you never get hit by these guys. Right. Maybe you hit like an errant laser or something hits you, like who cares?
Yeah.
But
yeah, so 16, 17, 18, basically the same thing. 18 at least is short. There's just like 12 mooks in the palace. Yeah. I guess 19 is one last shooting level. That one was...
You had to hit the crawlers on that one?
Yeah, the crawlers and the bridge, yeah.
That's another like 3-minute mission.
Yeah.
It's super boring and basic.
Yeah, it's another one that you can fail if you take too long, but...
I feel like they got halfway through this game and then were like rushed on time and just like copy and pasted the last few levels together.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. I don't know.
But again, these shooting levels at least were fun. They were always refreshing after the just beating on the mooks.
I would say like the first 1 or 2 were fun, and then it got like, okay, the last 2 are only like a few minutes long.
Yeah. And then mission 20, that was the one where you're literally fighting 29 of the mooks to finish the level. That level was so freaking tedious.
So tedious, my god.
And then level 21, that's when you finally fight Ocean Master, and again, more of his mooks, as I recall. And he's harder than Black Manta. He's harder than the Lava Lord. He has a nasty magic attack from his staff that can really destroy you.
I think I get hit once by him.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. I just did the same combo.
As long as you stay close enough to him and just keep him occupied, you don't give him a chance to do anything. Yeah.
Well, I did the same strategy that I did with his normal mooks, and it just killed him. You just grab and combo, grab, combo. Like, I don't know, he never did anything.
Yeah, the only real difference with the bosses is that they do way more damage if you give them a chance.
Yeah.
That you don't really fight them any differently than the mooks.
But if you have a full ability bar, then you get them down to red health anyway, right away.
Yeah.
Like, they literally can't stop you from doing your spinning attack, so...
Otherwise, I would say, would I play this game again? Probably not. Maybe I might, if I was really bored and wanted to show it off. I would honestly recommend anyone play it on easy mode. There's not really any more difficulty on normal. It's just longer and more tedious. So play it on easy. You know, you can play through it on easy, and you can unlock classic Aquaman, Black Manta, or Tempest. Yay. I think classic Aquaman's supposed to be a little faster. I didn't notice a difference. I tried it out briefly.
I did try to play it again after I beat it. I don't know. Like, that'd be the only reason I'd play it too, is probably for like a mission, just to see if the characters were any better.
Yeah, and I tried that and it wasn't.
I'm guessing it's the exact same experience.
Yeah, but I would definitely recommend playing it on easy. You know, normally I do try and play on normal mode on these games. Maybe hard, but this one, it's not worth it.
It's so boring.
There's no point. As for what it loses points for, to me, you know, again, the mediocre graphics, music, and sound, the uninspired and repetitive levels that are just devoid of any color, any interest, the bare bones storyline and cutscenes, the uneven difficulty, the overly finicky combos, the tedious fighting stages. You know, everything's either way too easy or it's so long and hard that you have to cheese it. There's no in between. And the wimpy bosses mostly. You know, and it overuses the unfun parts of the game. You know, just replace rings with mook fights, and it gives you...
I would rather play with rings.
I would almost maybe agree. And it gives you tiny little chunks of enjoyable parts. And so for me, I give it actually a 2 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
It's mediocre, but it's barely mediocre, I'd say.
See, like, when I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think of things that I do enjoy from the game, and there's not much that comes up.
Right.
Like, it's not a broken mess.
No.
Like Superman 64.
No, it's not broken.
But Superman 64 being a broken mess actually makes it somewhat entertaining.
Yeah.
In like a weird, it's so bad, it's good way.
Yes.
This is it's so boring and so mediocre that I'm like, why? Like, what's the appeal to this game? The Aquaman fans? Were there like 10 Aquaman fans in the world? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the definition of the uninspired cash-in license game.
Yeah, like, is this as like funny bad as something like the NES license titles? Like Uncanny X-Men, miserable game, but like I would probably rather play that than Aquaman again.
Well, it's not so long either. You know, if you're gonna do
I mean, I don't know. Uncanny X-Men's kind of long.
Yeah, maybe it is, I guess, but I don't know. The tedium of just beating on, if they didn't block so much, if you could just knock, most fighting games, enemies don't just sit there blocking constantly.
Even if the combos felt like accurate and felt like crisp, I would give it more points. But I'm like, I was so bored playing this game.
The fighting just isn't remotely fun. That's more than half the game. That's like 3/4 of the game is fighting.
So I initially picked this game because years ago I saw it on like a James and Mike Mondays, and it looked funny bad. Then I'm playing it, and I'm like, ugh.
Nope.
This is just like a tedious, mediocre game if there ever has been one.
Yeah.
It is not built out. It feels like it's been rushed.
Yes.
There's no care behind it. There's no thought behind it.
And this doesn't feel like a game that was rushed because like they didn't have the talent or they just didn't care.
This it seems like something they just dumped out to market and like maybe completed like the first third of the game. They're like, what else do we do? I don't know. Let's just copy and paste the last bunch of missions, put some cutscenes in there, and call it a day.
Like they were literally paid by marketing at DC to help them promote Aquaman. Yeah, and nobody really cared that if the game was fun. They just wanted it to be playable.
Yeah, so like I guess out of 5 stars, I'd give this a 1.5 because it's not broken.
Yeah,
but there's like. Damn, there's no fun to be had.
No.
There's like the
teeny bit of the shooting.
There's the Leviathan mission.
Yeah.
So, I guess if you want to play Aquaman, play the Leviathan mission, then turn the game off. It doesn't get any better or worse from there.
I kind of wish they had a mode where you could just play just like unending shooting stages. That might almost something like
almost for points. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a boring, mediocre, not really a mess, but just a lame game.
Yep.
It's a bad Christmas present of a game.
Which is kind of appropriate in some ways for Aquaman in a lot of the character's history. Again, don't come at me. I like certain parts of Aquaman, but if you want to talk about the bad parts of Aquaman, this fits.
So, again, I've never met like a diehard Aquaman fan in my life, and I'm not a big comic book guy, but like I've never met a person who like unironically wears an Aquaman t-shirt, you know?
I don't know, maybe some people really like Jason Momoa version of him.
Oh, sure. Okay, I get that.
My man.
I get that. Jason Momoa, he's a sexy dude.
He's charismatic, yes.
I get that. That's fine. If you like Aquaman live action, I get it.
He's wet Khal Drogo.
The cartoon, the animated version, the comic book version, I've never had an interest in Aquaman.
Like I said, I liked the version in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which was basically animated Jason Momoa before Jason Momoa was playing him.
Sure,
kind of. You know, he's angry, sarcastic, and belligerent. You know, he's always ready to get in a fight over any little insult. He's vaguely entertaining.
Yeah, if there is somebody that listens to this that is a diehard Aquaman fan, I want to hear why. Yeah. In the comments, write like 10 paragraphs if you have to. I don't give a shit. I want an in-depth, in-your-mind reason of why you're super into Aquaman.
And again, not speaking as a comic book fan in general, but not an Aquaman fan in particular, my impression is a lot of people dislike Aquaman because, you know, the Super Friends and all that, and there's eras of Aquaman that aren't like that people enjoy. But I feel like one of the more enjoyable parts of Aquaman that people liked was the 90s edgy Aquaman.
And that makes sense.
And for most characters, the edgy 90s character is the embarrassing one nobody looks at. For Aquaman, it's like his high point, I feel like. Which because
he's so lame.
Well, yeah, people see him as the milquetoast guy, and every now and then they do something cool with him. There's a frame where it shows him summoning Cthulhu basically to fight someone. Like,
that sounds interesting.
There's some neat, you know, some people do interesting things to the character, but you know,
by and large, no, avoid this game. Luckily, it's only a cheap game. It's like a $20-$25 game.
Yeah. Didn't you just get that at the last convention?
I did. That's the game that the guy tried to fuck me over on, too.
Yes, that's right.
Because I was supposed to get it for free, and then I forgot about it. He like charged me a full price, and I went back, and I'm like, oh yeah,
my dude.
Like, you want to hook me up with that $20 you said you were just gonna give me? He's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, then give me $20 off on another overpriced game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I always get dicked over on deals. That's my MO nowadays.
Yeah.
All right, Dave. We good to talk about one of the most iconic bad games of all time?
Yeah, I mean, you know, everyone bashes Superman, but I think a lot of people don't really go into the fine detail of exactly how sucky it is.
Well, this is actually the game that I kind of made you play this, so yes. I got you your 64.
Yes.
Because you never had one before.
No.
And like notoriously you kind of hate the 64 like in the past.
I have no nostalgia for it. I was a hardcore PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 guy. I turned my nose up a little at the N64 and almost kind of a little at the GameCube, frankly, more than I should have.
And sure. Like if I hand you a 64 controller, like you visibly get ill.
Yeah, I don't think I've played a N64 game yet that I've been like consistently good at.
Yeah.
Like even stuff like Ocarina of Time, I usually play them in a, you know, emulator, or I think they have the new DS version of that, or just something else, you know.
Well, I got you a 64 and I said part of the reason I'm doing this because I need you to play Superman 64, Dave.
And I did. And you didn't think I was going to get through it.
No, I thought you played the first, like, 2 levels, because, like, you are not good at, like, 64 controls. Now, granted, you have a Brawler 64 controller.
Yes.
A little bit more of the traditional, like, controller style.
I think it helped, yeah.
But I figured you'd play through the first, like, few ring levels and just say, fuck this, and, like, just throw it in the trash and never talk about it again.
No.
You beat this game.
I beat it. Well, with a
kind of.
With a caveat. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So tell us about Superman 64, just kind of, like, what it is.
Yeah, so another action-adventure game developed and published by Titus Interactive, which, you know, I haven't followed a lot of Titus's stuff. I mean, they've been around for a while. They're a French company, and I think they're probably more known for this game maybe than anything else.
I would say this is their flagship game. I'm trying to think. We've actually covered other Titus games.
I think so.
Because I think they started in the Super Nintendo era.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And for the life of me, I can't remember. Are they a developer or publisher? Developer?
Both for this. I think they made more games for like other systems or for things in Europe, which would make sense. I don't think they made as big of a splash over here in the States. And, you know, I will say in advance, again, we were kind of talking about this earlier, I think a lot of the shit they get for this has to do, I mean, some of it's definitely them, but some of it is, you know, the licensee. It's Warner Brothers and DC. You know, I can't remember what combination of the two had the licenses at the time, but, you know, it was, let's make a change and let's go back. Like, you can see, if you play the beta version of this game, which we did a little bit, and then you play the production version, you can see things they had in the beta that they dumped. That probably somebody told them, you have to redo this, and then they didn't have time or budget or whatever to the controller screen, you know? There are things that they just clearly did not have time. Like, their meddling was so extreme that they just didn't get to finish this game, basically.
Yeah, and you can see bits and pieces of that in Superman 64. Like, there are some levels that are more finished than others. There's some gameplay elements that are clearly better thought out and more crisp than others.
Yes.
There's some stuff that's actually kind of fun, and then there's a lot of stuff that's just like, whoa.
Yeah, so we mentioned this earlier, but the music and sound effects and everything, it actually has good voices that are similar to the cartoon. Like, I could believe it was the...
Yeah, maybe the same guy. I don't know.
I could believe they got the guy in for 5 minutes of his time to say, there's no time to waste.
Have you ever seen, like, The Simpsons, like, Krusty?
Yeah.
When he does the Krusty doll?
Right.
Hey, talking Krusty?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just goes in the sound booth for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Says line, pieces out.
I could
kind
believe
what this is.
I could believe that. But you know, it's fine. You know, again, the GameCube game we just discussed had no voice samples, so I got to give them that.
It's better than Aquaman in that category.
The music and sound effects, like you said, it's kind of an earworm. You know, it's kind of stuck in my head a little bit. It's super. It's not in a good way. It's not interesting. It's repetitive and boring and tedious.
The whooshing sounds of the flying levels kind of stuck in my mind.
Yeah, it's just so repetitive. Yeah, I think it's so repetitive through the entire game. There's no real variety.
Every mission start, there's no time to waste.
Yeah.
I don't know, like that stuff kind of hangs with me a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
This sucks kind of way, but
yeah, not in a good way, but it does. It is kind of an earworm.
Yeah, it's not like Zelda where it's stuck in your mind because it's so good. It's just like, oh,
not at all.
Oh boy.
So, you know, it's going on from there. We have the game starts off with super short cutscene. It's literally just showing your three friends, Jimmy and Lois and Professor Hamilton, being sucked into a virtual reality thing by Lex Luthor. And again, if you played the beta, there was actually more of an intro that they scrapped.
Yeah, which is weird, but whatever.
You see this little newspaper thing in front of the even levels where it's an actual level and not just rings. And that was like going to be in front of every level, I think. But then like they messed it up on the ring levels. It's weird. But you get these tiny little cutscenes, you know, not really, barely any animation, barely any talking or anything, and then you're immediately jerked into the gameplay without any time to know what's going on.
Yeah, there's no like tutorial that tells you, hey, here's how you fly, here's how you do.
Luthor says, solve my maze. That's not a maze, it's rings. It's rings in the air. It's not a maze. It's
not really anything, really.
You're just literally just flying through rings because Luthor said so, because you're locked in his virtual reality thing, surrounded by kryptonite fog. That's why you can't break out or something.
Or just a time trial.
Yeah, it's a time trial. And again, this wasn't in the beta version, and it's not in the easy version. So it's clearly just padding. Like it's not something that was integral to the game. If you play without that element, the game actually flows better. It makes more sense.
It would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
The rings add on probably a good hour to gameplay. Like if you went from like straight to finish, from start to finish, probably a straight up hour of rings.
Again, if you're playing without the rings and you're like on easy mode, for example. Which, by the way, easy mode and normal mode are basically the same, except normal mode lets you get a few more levels later, and they basically, normal mode has the rings, easy mode doesn't. Like, the difficulty is otherwise identical.
And then there's the Superman mode that I have zero idea, other than the last level of the game, I don't know what the difference is.
I think some enemies take a couple more hits. Like, you can punch the Shadow Mooks a couple more times on Superman.
Maybe? I don't know.
Very little difference. But you know, the easy mode feels more like a game. You're literally like you're saving some cars from the guys with rocket launchers, and you're beating up some of the Shadow Mooks and stuff, and then you're flying to the dam. And then you do the dam level. Yeah. And so it's like you're in a hub world. You
fly to LexCorp. Yeah, you fly to whatever.
You're in a hub world going from place to place. It makes more sense. Whereas when you're going through the rings, you're focused on the rings. You know, it's like, why am I going through the rings? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Where, it takes away from what little narrative there is. The controls, I think, are a big problem in this game. They're super annoying to me. Again, I'm not a fan of the N64 controller, but it felt awkward where you have the separate button to take off and accelerate. To me, that should be almost the same button. There's not really a decelerate button. There is a brake, but it's a little awkward till you get used to it.
Yeah.
Your momentum builds way too fast, and you can't really cruise at like a comfortable middle speed. You're pretty much either going full speed or you're like constantly letting off or hitting the brake to kind of jerk and keep at a decent speed. Otherwise, you go way too fast and you just get out of control, you know? So you kind of have to really anticipate well ahead of time if you need to slow down or you just go wildly off course. There are parts where the feeling of speed starts to almost get entertaining once you get the hang of it. But again, they don't do anything with it. You know, you're flying through rings. If they were doing something interesting and fun with that mechanic, I could see it being fun. There's a kernel of fun there.
Yeah,
they're just not doing anything with it.
Or if there was like a reward for completing a level earlier or something like that. I don't know.
Like if you were flying through space and like shooting meteors or shooting aliens or parademons or something.
You're thinking way too far for Superman 64.
Well, again, we have a certain god of evil in this game. You know, we could have a parademon, but whatever. We'll get to that. So yeah, there's just all you're doing is flying through rings. You're not blasting alien warships with heat vision or anything. Superman's model is just, I think even for the N64, it's really stiff and blocky. It feels like a beta model, you know?
So he runs like he's got a stick up his ass?
Yes.
Like he's straight up like, there's no hip movement at all. It's just like he's a stick with two legs that are moving and two hands that just like rapidly go back and forth, but his head doesn't move.
Yes.
Nothing. It's super awkward looking.
Yeah, everything he does looks awkward. If you're flying and you accidentally flip upside down, he like flips upside down like there's a stick through the middle of him and he's spinning on it. Yeah. It's super awkward. It is not natural at all. I will say I found this out after reading one of the guides online. It helps a lot to me if you push down on the D-pad all the way to zoom out all the way. It actually makes the game easier to play.
Oh, I don't know. You can actually do anything with the D-pad.
By default, you're zoomed all the way in, and it actually makes it worse.
Okay.
It actually performs slightly better, and it's a little easier to see what you're doing if you zoom all the way out. So just push it down. But you have to do it. Yeah, I think you might have to do it every level. I forget.
Yeah, probably.
Or at least when you reload, you have to do it. So there's that. There's nothing in the menu that lets you like tweak the sensitivity of the analog stick. That would have gone a long way.
Yeah.
There's no option to remap the controls. There isn't even a thing that shows the N64 controller and what everything does. It's just a text menu. But again, that existed in the beta version. They changed the controls from the beta version. They didn't change that screen. They just dumped it.
I mean, I just Googled the manual.
Yeah, they clearly were just in a rush. They didn't even have time to remake the screen that they already designed, already spent money on.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, they didn't have time to change that. There's an option that lets you restart missions, which I found super misleading because what they call a mission is several stages.
Oh, yeah. No, you never press that on a ring level. You only press that on, like, one of the actual levels.
Yeah, so in the ring levels, you have rings, and then, like, beat up some mooks, and then more rings, and then pick up a car and do something with it, and then some rings, and then escort somebody, and that whole thing's one mission.
Yeah.
And so if you screw up, just die, or just run through the wrong rings so it ends, and then you can restart that stage. Yep. But if you do restart mission, it takes you all the way to the beginning.
Yeah, don't press buttons that you don't know what they do in this game.
Yeah, so that was stupid. And yeah, you would think you would have more save points or more, you can only save between the actual missions.
Yeah, so that's saving like once every 15 or some minutes.
Yeah.
Of like real time.
Yep. Completing each challenge like just jerks you immediately to the next one. No warning, like a brief pop-up on the screen. Quick, grab that car really quick. No, go.
Well, sometimes it doesn't even say that. It just says like rescue person.
Yes.
And you're like, from what? What's happening? And like you'll be flying around and you don't see shit. You're just like, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden you'll fail the mission and restart at like the beginning of the ring levels.
Yeah, and it's not like there's a radar that shows you where your targets are. No. It doesn't even have the little compass like you did in Aquaman. Like you don't know.
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing. Sometimes failing the missions gives you another chance, and sometimes failing the mission sends you back to the ring level. Yeah. Just arbitrarily.
What I think happens is there's like a mercy. Yeah, kind of a thing going
after
on.
3 or so times.
That's what it seems like, because you'll get to those Dark Shadow missions, and some of them are so cryptic that you really don't know what you're doing.
Yes,
I noticed about after like 2 or 3 times of failing those, they'll just restart you at those missions.
Yeah, you have those dumb missions where you're going up to a tornado and blowing on it with your super breath to
Which
put
is
it out.
super hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, you have to be like really specifically right up in front of it. If you can't be too far away, I think you have to be almost at the base of it. Like if you're up too high, and
I just go like in the tornadoes.
Yeah, and it's funny because you'll be blowing on it, and all of a sudden it says failed, and you're like, failed what? Well, what failed is one of the tornadoes got a person,
like a skateboarding child that's like skateboarding on a damn sidewalk.
Right. So you have to pay attention, like which of the you might have to get a certain tornado first, otherwise it's going to get one of the bystanders. Yeah. But it doesn't tell you that.
Yeah, you don't know. It doesn't say like protect the skateboarding child. It just says blow the tornadoes.
Well, there are some missions. There is a mission where you are protecting the skateboarding child from all these guys with rocket launchers, which makes lots of sense.
Why is this kid skateboarding here, bro?
Yeah. And you're literally flying. And again, if you get good at flying and impacting the mooks, that's like the best way to kill them. Then that mission becomes pretty easy. If you have to fly up to them and stop and then punch them, it's super awkward. It's very hard, forever.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah,
you got to get really good at flying in Superman.
You really do.
So it's like the only way to really beat the game.
And you have to get good enough that you don't accidentally rub up against a wall or a floor or something, because like we were talking about, the where the floor appears to be or the wall appears to be isn't exactly where it is. Yeah. Your model can get just a little too close to it and you stop. Like you don't just like rub against it or bounce off it, you just stop.
Yeah, you get stuck on air.
Yeah, you get stuck on what apparently is nothing. And yeah.
No one knows why. It's just poorly designed game.
Yeah, so again, you're going through this level. I played it first on normal mode. I eventually got competent enough with the controller that I got all the way to the first story mission, which is mission number 2. And by that point I was like, okay, these rings aren't that bad. They're like a minute or 2 long. You can memorize them. You can figure it out, whatever. I'll get through it. And so then I kept going, and then I got to mission 3, which was the second rings level, and it was like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope. This is 5 minutes of my life I'm not going to waste on ring levels.
That is also terribly misleading, though.
Yeah.
Because those 5-minute ring levels are really like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it's just... I don't mind the rings, but I don't need to be doing that for so long and I don't need to be doing that perfectly for that long.
Well, that's why I don't know why it gives you that amount of time. Because in the later levels, it actually goes up to 10 minutes.
Yes.
But realistically, it takes 2 minutes to get through them.
Yeah. I had it with the ring levels at that point.
I know, I get it, but to me, the ring levels are actually the fun part. Like, I like Nintendo 64 racing games.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminds me of like a bad racing game.
Yeah, and that's to me, I'm not used to enough that where I enjoyed the ring levels in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
They were kind of tedious to me to take corners, they start doing weird things where especially on the higher difficulties where it doesn't really tell you which ring to go through next. Like on the lower difficulties, there is a little compass that tells you which ring is next.
Sure.
On the higher difficulties it doesn't, and so you have to pay attention to where the ring is. Sometimes it's like way off out of your line of sight, and you have to practice
green.
it.
You just have to find it sometimes. Yeah,
right. But you have to pay attention, and sometimes if you're going too fast, you go out, then you completely waste minutes of time, and you can't like corner quickly to turn around and get back to it. It's bad if you're not used to the controller.
By chance, did you play the last ring level of the game?
No.
Okay.
So I'll spend a little time going over this. What I ended up doing is I got all the way through the game on normal to like level 8 or level 10, I believe, and no problem. But except skipping the ring levels after the first one because, like I said, I couldn't be bothered. The problem with that is then that also skipped all of those Dark Shadow levels and all those other things.
The problem?
Well, yeah. I didn't experience them, so there was that.
I mean, they get increasingly worse somehow.
So I focused on doing what I consider the story missions, which I think are kind of the meat of the game, and got through most of those. And then I read some details, and I thought, I'm going to try this on easy mode just for curiosity. So I went all the way through 1 through 10 on easy mode. And basically all that does is it removes the rings. So you get to play through all the Dark Shadow levels. So I played through all of those. Okay. So I got through that entire section of the game. But then you get to level 10 and you're done. And you can't continue going. You have to restart the game from level 1 on hard mode, or on Superman mode.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I found there's another code. The code I was using originally was a pick a level code, and so I was just trying each of the even levels to try them. On Superman mode, then I found another code that lets you skip levels. So I basically just played through the entire game on Superman mode, just skipping all the odd levels after the first one, and so I had already played all the odd levels except for the ring part. I played them on easy mode.
Okay.
And then the only levels I didn't play at all then were 11 and 13.
Which are those? Just more
those
ring
are more
levels
ring levels.
Okay.
But those, I couldn't play those on easy because they don't exist in easy. So I played all of the non-ring parts of those levels, all the ones I could. I could play through 11 and 13, but I have no desire to.
I mean, to be fair, like none of the non-ring, non-main level levels, I don't know what they even call them, but like the Dark Shadow levels, they don't get more interesting like later on in the game.
No,
they just get a little bit more shittier.
They call them rides, I think, because it's like a ride on a roller coaster or something. Yeah, they're repetitive and boring and tedious. There's the story missions, at least there's something to them. It's maybe not great, but there's something to them.
The problem is like they almost get increasingly more buggy as the game goes along.
They do.
So like even the first like one of those levels, so you pass the first set of rings, it takes like a minute.
Yeah.
And then like you have to go throw 2 cars, but it doesn't really tell you that.
Yes.
But if you don't throw the cars like in the proper way,
yes,
they don't apparently destroy them. Like they don't blow up the right way.
Right.
So you can fail the mission even though you did it correctly, and then it restarts you with the rings.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll do it right, but then it doesn't immediately tell you did it right. It counts down to 0 and then tells you whether you did it right or not.
And sometimes it just still tells you did it wrong.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's completely up to chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes the game will just stop working.
Yeah.
And like, so Dave played it on an EverDrive. I played on original hardware, original cartridge.
Yeah.
The game could just like stop. For me, like I got the first time I played this go around, I've beaten this game twice, like through the whole game.
Yeah.
The first go around here, I got to the dam. Right when I was about to save, the game shut off.
Yes, I've had that too.
This is by the way, this is not my 64. This is a different 64.
Yeah.
Every other game works fine. This game will just reset sometimes on its own. Like mine is in perfect shape.
Yep.
It's just like a poorly made, buggy nightmare of a game.
So I think we can talk about the missions now, the even missions, the actual story missions. We'll skip the odd levels. Mission 2 you mentioned is the dam. This is where it starts to be maybe an interesting game. Again, still terrible controls. No real run option except for this really bad power-up you get later that doesn't work very well. The super running
that one can accidentally clip you through the stage a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, I kind of hate it.
Yeah, it sucks.
So you kind of have to blindly figure out that you have to pick up and throw these robots instead of punching them. Because, again, they blow up, and Superman famously is too wimpy to punch robots that blow up.
Yeah, this isn't the good version of Superman. This is the like 1940s version where,
this is like Silver Surfer where, he's a guy with the power cosmic that he's getting beat up by rubber ducks.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of that.
Don't fuck with rubber ducks and alligators, bro.
So yeah, well-known fact about Superman, he's not good at punching robots. So you need to pick up and throw the robots that blow up, which is a lot of them in this game.
But if you don't throw them far enough, they still blow up in your face and still like chunk your health.
Exactly. So, and you also need to either punch or throw boxes, which also blow up.
Everything blows up.
But harmlessly. And then that lets you get a key card. And so you're just going back and forth. You're getting a key card. You're hitting a console. You're going and doing it's a lot of back and forth.
It's boring.
You walk past Nala, who is one of the villains from the cartoon, and you want to start fighting her. You can maybe get a punch or two in, but it doesn't do any good.
Yeah, you can smack the shit out of her for a second, then she just talks to you anyway.
She's like, "No, I've set bombs in the dam. You have to go do this. I'm not going to fight you." And then she just disappears. She doesn't even walk away. She just disappears. No. So then you have to go down to the dam, and you have to throw a control to let the water out, and then you have to go into a door and talk to some scientists who tell you where the bomb is, and then you have to go up and set a control to open up where the bomb is, and then you find where Nala is, who's protecting where the bombs are, and 2 robots, and
well, that's your first boss fight of the game, dude.
Yeah, it is, and it's not bad. I mean, if you're not careful, beating on her, it's hard punching her if you're not good at the control, because you can be like whiffing at midair because you're just a little bit too far away from her.
But I will say, she's probably the hardest boss in the game, I think.
She kind of is, yeah.
Because like she has the 2 robots that just keep firing right around you.
Yeah, I usually will like ignore her and just try and take out the robots first, because they're constantly shooting at you otherwise. And yeah, you don't have heat vision or anything yet to blast her with, to cheese her like some of the later bosses. Yeah. So yeah, you just have to get up in her face and beat up on her and hope that you're, ideally you're at full life or near full life. So, because she's probably going to get you down to half life or quarter life.
And when you beat up on her, she just kind of disappears randomly.
Yeah. She kind of makes random noises while you're punching her, and sometimes it's not really clear if it's actually hurting her or not.
Yeah, you don't know.
You either win or you don't.
You just keep punching her, and hopefully she just disappears. That's all that happens.
Yeah. So yeah, you beat her up, and then you have to go and get the cold breath and fly up to where the bombs are, and you have to blow on them until they are in a block of ice. But it's if you don't do it long enough, it melts. But if you do it long enough, then it does this little thing where it like shifts in place, and then you know it's weird. It's buggy as hell.
You wouldn't know. You have to. It's kind of like a trial and error game.
Yes. So you have to do that to both of the bombs, and that's basically the level. You freeze the bombs, and then yay, you won.
It's actually not like an easy level. That one took me quite a bit.
Especially just trial and error.
Yeah.
If you read a guide, it's probably easier. But yeah, there's so much back and forth. And some of it's timed. Some of it you screw up if you take too long.
There's a lot of doors that don't lead to anything, but just like a random enemy that just can chunk your health. There's a decent amount of life power-ups, so I'll give them that.
Yeah. And one thing I learned more in later levels, but it helps here. Once you get good at flying, don't walk much. You can fly through most of the level.
You hardly ever walk in this game.
Yeah,
honestly.
Again, you have to get good at it so that you're not constantly bumping into walls. But once you do, it simplifies everything.
Yeah, I noticed. I think this is one of the least buggy levels of the game.
Yes,
it seems like it's fairly finished. It works. I mean, it's bad, but it works.
Yep. So yeah, again, I won't talk about the odd levels, but Mission 4 is kind of similar to the dam, but you're in Luthor's penthouse, or you're in LexCorp.
It's LexCorp.
LexCorp. And you're finding a super secret code that Luthor left laying around on a table to one of his, I think it's to Parasite, and I think that I actually first thought this was, the guides I was saying, it's always this color combination, but if you look at it, it's random based on your playthrough.
Oh, okay.
So you have to look at the note to see what the color combo is.
Well, the game won't actually let you continue until you read that note.
I think you're right, yeah. But you have to pay attention and not just read a guide or something. It's specific to your game. And the funny thing in this level is I started to really notice these dark shadow guys shooting at you with their guns. They're really hurting Superman.
Yes.
Again, you may have heard of a superhero that just stands there with his chest out and bullets bounce off of him.
Not Superman.
What's that guy named? Who is that superhero?
Aquaman?
Yeah, I don't know. But this guy...
Somebody else.
Crazy Steve, to quote Linkara, it isn't immune to bullets. So...
just these random nerds in like a Trillbilly hat just shoot you.
Actually, that was a Batman joke. It was Super Grandpa or something. Anyway, there's so many bad versions of Superman. This is clearly not the invulnerable to bullets version of Superman.
No.
But so anyway, you have to beat up every last mook in this level. Luthor won't let you go up the elevator until you do.
And why do you need to fly an elevator? You're Superman.
Again.
Just fly through the damn floor.
Yeah, again. You have to beat up all the mooks. Then you have to go up the elevator, activate the machines in order, or die of kryptonite poisoning. And at least then you start to you finally get the heat vision for the first time, and you can start laser blasting mooks, which is fun.
It always feels good, even though they can still take a couple hits, which doesn't make sense. But whatever.
No. So you can do that. Worse. I mean, it feels more like Homelander than Superman, but I guess they're not. I guess they're not actual people. They're literal shadows in this game world.
Is that what they are? I thought it was just like some random name for like we forgot to design these characters.
Well, yeah. I mean, they look like garbage. Not finished beta enemies.
Yeah, they just look like mobsters.
Yes, generic mobsters that are all black. But again, just like not like a black person, but just literal black. Yeah,
like faceless black silhouettes of people.
Yeah, and again, this isn't like just accidental. Like, this is their excuse. Like, we intended to make, like, this is how it is because it's in the game world. But this weird conceit where you're supposed to be rescuing a person, but it's not actually a real person because you're in the game world, right? But you have to do it because Luthor says you have to do it. Otherwise, he's going to kill your friends.
I don't know, man.
It keeps skirting this line between you saving your friends and none of this mattering because it's a virtual world. It's weird. I guess the idea is it's all Luthor trying to make Superman jump through these literal hoops, or he's going to kill his friends, and he has to keep Superman has to keep Luthor happy so he doesn't kill his friends, and he has to just go through all these traps that he sets up for him.
Yeah.
So again, you activate the machines, you beat up more mooks, then there's this really goofy word puzzle where you have to spell out Luthor.
Dude, I hated this thing.
Yeah, and so
hated this thing.
I think what it's supposed to be is you're supposed to be hitting each console, like one console's L, one's U, one's T, one's H, one's O, one's R, but it's not really that simple.
No.
Each one changes like 3 different letters, and you just have to keep doing them in order, and it's just kind of like you have to make it more like Luthor every control, and you have to go from computer to computer until you can tell which ones are changing which letters. And it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube, you know, where you think you're getting closer, but you mess up other things.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird, but you eventually figure it out. You have plenty of time. And by the way, if you fail, nothing happens. You just do it. You just do it over again. Oh. You don't even lose if you fail that one.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I failed once, and yeah, you just have to do it over. Like he mocks you for it, and that's it.
My problem with this level is I kept clipping through the level.
Oh yeah.
In that tunnel that leads to the computers with the Luthor puzzle.
Yes.
That tunnel is a dangerous tunnel. If you step too close to one of the sides, you'll straight up clip through the stage.
I think I did that once.
I lost that stage 4 times in a row due to clipping through that fucking tunnel.
I believe it. I
was so pissed. I'm just like, God, I just want to you just want to beat this game, but the game just doesn't want to be beat sometimes.
So you get through that puzzle, and then you finally get to where you fight Brainiac. Who is, you know, this robot. He was the one working with Luthor to set up this whole thing, whatever, who cares. And you fight him and some robots. But fortunately, this is the first level where if you manage to get the heat vision, you can literally just blast him with heat vision.
Yeah, you just keep it on him, and he's 7 seconds or so, he just melts.
And then he flies away. Yeah. And I read guides that say you're supposed to like knock him out the window. It's like, no, you blast him.
You don't have to do anything.
Just about every boss in the game from here on out, you just blast them with your heat vision.
Yeah, or you just punch the shit out of them like 7 times and they die.
I mean, yeah, I think if you were better than me at the controller, I would. It's a little fussy to get in there because they.
I just that's the only time that I'll walk is you just walk towards them. You get close enough and you just smash A.
Well, he does this thing where he drains you if you get close.
Oh, sure.
Which I thought that was supposed to be Parasite that does that, and apparently Brainiac can do something like that too. I think they mixed the two of them up. Whatever. But yeah, again, some of these bosses have dangerous things that they can do, but I never noticed because I just blast them with heat vision.
Yeah, like they're dead before anything really happens.
So yeah, not more somewhat interesting level, but not that great. Then level 6 is the warehouse, or mission 6. This one is kind of notorious. This one took me a bunch of tries because it's so fussy.
This one took me a shit ton of tries. So, like, full disclosure, I played this game all the way through on Superman mode. Yeah. I don't know if it made these harder.
I don't think so.
I don't know if it mattered. I have no idea.
I think it makes the mooks take more punches if you walk up and punch them. I think that's like literally the only difference.
I don't know. Like I could boot it up on easy mode and just try for the hell of it, but like then I'd have to play through Superman 64 again. I'm not doing that right now. So
yeah, you're trying to save Lois from this warehouse. She's investigating this warehouse and she keeps getting ambushed and you keep having to save her. It's literally taking the Lois Lane having no self-preservation thing and like cranking it up to 11.
Yes.
Like she's only alive because you're constantly saving her.
She wants to die.
Like, yeah,
and you won't let her die.
Yeah, literally. And so, yeah, there's all this. Oh, and by the way, this level has all this stuff around that you should be able to pick up and throw. And like in a good game, you could pick up boxes and throw them at enemies. In this game, there's like no way that's helpful. Like by the time you get close enough where you could throw a box at them, they start shooting at you and then you drop the thing and then it doesn't work.
Well, or it explodes on top of you.
On top of you, yeah. So again, in a good game, that would be an interesting gameplay mechanic. In this game, it's not.
Did you ever have a time where you were like walking through a level and Superman just like falls over for like 10 seconds and won't move?
I don't think so, but I've gotten stuck a couple times for sure. I've gotten stuck like in the floor before for sure.
It's happened to me where he like trips on an invisible wall or something and literally just won't move for like straight 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think I had to restart the game once because I couldn't move from a space. But yeah, the level's a bit of a maze. You're basically, you're killing enough mooks so that you can get a key card to free Lois, and then she walks off. Oh yeah.
Here's my problem with that key card though. So you kill all these mooks that are like on ground level. That's fine.
Yes.
Then you don't know what to do.
Yes.
Because there's like 5 doors to go through.
Yes.
You go through all the doors, kill whatever enemies you find there.
Yes.
Nothing happens. You can't click on any computers. You can't do shit.
If you didn't read a guide. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But unbeknownst to you, killing those mooks spawned a key card on top of these stairs.
Yes.
You can't physically walk on top of those stairs.
No, they're bugged. You have to fly up.
Superman cannot walk up a diagonal stairwell.
Yes.
He will get stuck or he will fall. There's no way to get up there.
Yeah.
So you have to fly on top of the stairs and see this green card on top of these green stairs.
Yes. It's not super obvious.
So you would just have to know. Or fly around for like 10 minutes like I did and like, what is happening? Is this game... Like, you don't know because this game is a buggy mess. It could have just bugged out. And something just doesn't work. I don't know.
And then grabbing the key card opens the door up on the ceiling.
Yeah, up in the ceiling across the room.
Across the room,
Which again, like the field of vision in Superman is very short.
Yeah, so you have to fly around and figure out what changed when you grab this key card, which is kind of what happens to a lot of these stages from here on out. That you do something changes. You have to figure out where that is.
Oh, they're all half finished from this side on. Like.
Yes. So you do that, and you're just basically going back and forth. Like you're at certain points, you're putting boxes on lights to open up a thing where Lois is trapped.
Oh, you're getting so far ahead.
Yeah,
you're getting so far ahead.
Yeah.
So like that's towards the end of the level.
Yeah.
So let's say you fly across the room, you find this secret door that opened with the secret computer that you click.
Oh yeah, you're going back and forth between the different rooms.
That then allows Lois to get out of her little trapped room.
Right.
You can punch the shit out of her for a second just for shits and giggles, and then she tells you, "Okay, I have to go investigate something."
Yes.
Then she walks away. 1 second later, she's surrounded by dark shadows.
Yes, she teleports away and is immediately surrounded. Yes.
Yeah. But then she's not. Then she's not even there. You go kill the dark shadows, and she's just like gone again. She's teleported somewhere else.
Yes.
Killing those dark shadows. Actually, I don't even think you need to kill them. But
no.
After she teleports away again, it unlocks another key card that's behind boxes.
Oh, right.
In a random storage area in the warehouse.
Yes, that's
again. Right. Would you know this? No, you would have no idea unless you flew around for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So then it spawns that key card that opens up a different area. Then eventually, after enough of these areas. I think even before the transporter, that's when you fight Mattel, right?
Yes.
For the first time in this level.
Yeah, so there's another kryptonite room that you have to fly in and hit the 3 computers in the kryptonite room to open the door and then fly out and go into the door. And that's where Metallo is. And you beat him up and he's like, okay, fine, save her. And then there's like a 20-minute countdown.
20 second.
20 second. Yes, that's what I meant to say. And you have to hit. And the funny thing is, that's another one of those weird ones where you have 20 seconds to hit the 3 computers.
And it doesn't tell you.
It doesn't tell you. It makes you think you have 20 seconds to get to Lois.
Yeah.
But you have 20 seconds to just hit the 3 computers.
Well, which is easy. Maybe get to Lois. I don't know.
I don't think it matters if you get to Lois.
Maybe not. I don't know.
It's weird. It doesn't tell you either way.
Yeah.
It keeps counting.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. Like, you can fail the mission. And, like, that takes a good 10 minutes to get to. Maybe a little bit less if you know what you're doing, but if you don't, like that could be 30 minutes into that playthrough.
Yeah, repeating that level you start to bang your head against the wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because so after you rescue Lois for like the 3rd time, then you have to rescue her again from these dark shadows. You beat the shit out of them.
Yes.
And then I think you get to the room.
That's the part where you start escorting her, right?
No, that's
after
later.
Do the lights. You do the lights, and then and then she starts walking.
So you get her out of the kryptonite area, and then you get to you have to unlock a few more doors or whatever.
Yeah.
You get to some place where you have to put boxes on lights.
Yes, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
For some reason, that's a thing.
Yep.
That unlocks Lois again. She somehow got trapped behind a hidden door in that room.
Yep.
Don't know how.
Like
whatever.
They locked her there. Whatever.
She's there.
Yep.
Behind her is X-ray vision,
which does nothing.
Which is the first time you've seen it throughout the entire game.
Yep.
If anyone knows what the hell it does, without reading a guide, because all the guides are bullshit online, don't follow them.
Yeah.
They're bullshit.
Yeah.
If you figure out what X-ray vision does, let me know, because I don't know.
Yeah.
You try to use it and it does nothing.
There's a button to push. Yeah, it's supposed to do something like to help you find the boss or something. I never saw the point of it. Or
I don't
to find
know.
items. Like it would make sense to implement that to figure out, okay, let me go and see where the key card is or where Lois is.
Or where the enemies are.
I don't know.
Something.
Yeah.
It does nothing as far as I can tell. I don't know. So then it starts what is probably either the most or the second most tedious part of this game.
Yes.
Depending on how you look at it, because the last mission is another set of horrible.
Yes.
You have to then escort Lois from that room all the way back to the beginning of the level.
Yes.
Now, if you could just fly through as Superman, it would take you like all of 15 seconds. I don't know. It's not that far.
Right.
She's the slowest NPC in video game history.
Right, but it's actually kind of good because if she runs ahead of you, enemies spawn and start shooting at her, and she has a limited life bar, and then you can fail the mission.
But you could just stand behind her and take shots.
Oh yeah, if
that was the case.
I would walk in front of her and walk backwards.
Exactly.
To prevent her from getting ahead of me.
Yeah. So she will walk at a snail's pace.
Yes.
And if you get too far ahead of her...
Yes.
she'll be surrounded by randomly transporting mooks.
Yeah, it'll spawn additional mooks, and you can do this over and over and over again.
And if she gets hit too much by them, she will die, and you have to restart the entire level. There's no checkpoints.
Yeah. And again, you can't just beat up all the mooks ahead of time. They respawn. They respawn.
Yeah.
So you have to do that while you're escorting her, and you can freeze her, and that gives you some leeway. I think it might still spawn the enemies, but they can't kill her until she's unfrozen.
See, I didn't know that when I did this.
And that's not intuitive. That's super counterintuitive.
Right, you would never know.
Yeah, you would think that would hurt her.
You would have to try to murder Lois in order to see if this would work.
Yes.
I don't know.
Which, by the way, you were saying earlier about punching her for fun. You can kill her.
At the end, yes.
Yeah. There's different times, at least, where you can beat the shit out of her and she dies.
You can totally smack her early on,
and she's like, "Superman, what are you doing?"
It's like, say, cut it out.
Or you can be like zapping somebody with laser eyes and accidentally hit her and not quite kill her. I guess you cut an arm off, but she's still alive.
Clark. But yeah, no, this is the most infuriating part of the game.
Oh, and she's super buggy. You know, she can get stuck on things, or you can freeze her and she can, get confused about where she's supposed to go. And when she's walking, I think the worst part of the escort is when she gets back into that main big area where you rescued her from to begin with. And when she walks in, there's like a guy down below you with a gun. There's two guys off to the left with a gun near that stairway that you can't walk on normally.
And there's a giant robot.
And there's a giant robot, which you can actually kill the giant robot earlier, because one time I did kill that before and it didn't respawn. But you have to kill those guys quickly before more guys spawn behind her and start beating her. Like I would do pretty accurate.
I would leave her like a third of the way, like close enough to you in the hallway by the stairs.
Yes.
Fly out, kill one guy, return to Lois.
Yes.
So if you leave her alone for 5 seconds, she'll spawn random guys.
Yes.
You just keep rinsing and repeating until everyone's dead. Okay. Now she can get down the stairs, which takes again like an hour and a half.
Yep.
Then there's a guy across the way that you have to go kill real quick and come back.
Or stand in front of her so the bullets hit you instead.
Right. But again, after a while of this, you might be low in health. You might not, depending on how good you are.
Yep.
Then there's another guy at the end of this hallway. It's the last hallway of the level.
Yep.
Kill him. Great.
Yep.
Then there's Metallo.
Yeah. Who might be walking into a wall.
He's normally like walking into a fence or something. He's always bugging out when you find him.
Yes.
You can fly to him, you can fly into him, deal some good damage, and then fly back to Lois. Lois likes to just crawl into the opening of this like glass warehouse section.
Yeah.
If Metallo sees her, he will do everything in his power. He will straight up ignore Superman.
Yes.
Walk around you and one hit her with some like laser beam out of his chest.
I think you're supposed to freeze her to give you time to beat him up. Again, if he's not bugged.
Right. I tried to freeze him to see if I could beat the shit out of him, but when you freeze him, you can't hit him.
Yeah, and I don't think you had laser eyes in this part of the level, so that would have made it... This one, again, one of the few levels where you can't just solve everything with laser vision.
Yeah, so the best you could do is try to leave Lois in this last hallway, fly over to Metallo, hit him once or twice, then you got to fly back immediately, otherwise Lois is dead by random guys.
Yep.
You have to rinse and repeat. If she gets too close to that door, and you don't accidentally take Metallo's shot, she's dead. That's a 20-minute time loss.
One of the times I played this, and I failed on this one, I had to redo it, because I had her at that end chamber, and I kept freezing her, trying to figure out what was going on. I couldn't see what I was supposed to do. And even when I let her unfroze, she was just standing there, and the game wasn't proceeding. I thought it was bugged, because I couldn't see him. I didn't notice that he was literally in the corner, running quickly at the corner. So I literally flew through the entire level. I think at that point, she finally wasn't spawning guys anymore or whatever. And so I was flying around the level trying to figure out what I had missed.
Yeah.
And I was flying around looking for enemies. I eventually, I think that one he might have finally jumped out and hit her or something, but like I couldn't figure out where he was.
Yeah. Because every time you find him, he's running into a wall.
Yeah, he's
every single time.
I don't think I ever had him run straight at me and try and kill Lois. He was always bugged out running into the wall.
Yeah. But if he sees Lois, he will kill her.
Yeah. And he's not that hard to kill. He doesn't really do much to kill you either, honestly.
I had to reset that 10 times on the last area of just trying to get Lois through that freaking door.
And again, you have to redo all this other tedious stuff then.
It is. Like, I got to be very good at that level, but again, like the Lois part is just so infuriating.
Yes.
Horrible.
So, this next level, Mission 8, might be the part that I hated the most. And it's not really because of the gameplay, although I didn't like the gameplay because it's way too mazy. Like, it's way too hard to tell where you are.
It is.
It all looks the same.
If you kind of know what you're doing, it's pretty easy.
It gets better once you figure it out. Like, because some of the guides are confusing because you start on level 3 and the guides don't explain that level 3 is like the top level, not the bottom. You know.
So let's explain. This is like a multi-tiered parking garage.
Yeah, it's like a parking garage. Okay,
and you start at like the top level.
So the conceit of this level is the police want you to hunt down Darkseid.
Yes,
again,
the
Darkseid, the god of evil, Lord of Apocalypse. Darkseid is, you know, he's a big deal. He's the Thanos of the DC universe.
Like, I don't know comic books, but I know that Darkseid is like the guy.
Yeah. He is not a joke. And Darkseid's plan, you know, this world conquering evil god's plan is to set a bomb in this random parking garage to, I guess, maybe mess with Superman.
To kill Jimmy?
But again, not real, but in a virtual world, you know. So I guess this was maybe Lex Luthor's idea of what, like, maybe he doesn't know what Darkseid is, or maybe he's messing with Darkseid. I don't know. He's dumb.
Like, I don't know, I've heard of this guy.
I've heard of this guy. I guess he likes bombs, right? He likes bombs.
Sure.
So yeah, so you're flying through this parking garage. You have to fly through, and again, it's this huge area that all looks the same.
Gigantic.
The first time I played this, I was a little sleep deprived, and I was just trying to get through the thing, and I just kept running around in circles and seeing the same thing over and over again, because it all looks the same. And some of the areas have little blocked off areas that you can fly into or hit with your fist and break them, and that's kind of cool. You know, destructible.
And it feels neat. Fight through a wall, sure.
But then again, it's hard to tell sometimes which ones you've blown up or broken up and which ones you haven't. Yeah. There's no good map. There's no nothing. But you're just flying around and you have to find where Jimmy is, who's like down an elevator and through a bunch more nonsense.
I think he's on the like lowest level in like a corner, isn't he?
He might be.
Trapped in a random room surrounded by robots.
Yeah, it's one of the rooms you have to break down. So again, if you're not paying attention, don't realize you can't break down the wall, you'll never find him. Because he is not visible. He is
how he got there, no one will ever know.
Yeah, I guess somebody put him there. Because what happens is you free him, and then Jimmy Olsen, who again is just this kid who works for the paper, tells you what Darkseid's plan is. Like, he found Darkseid's plan, and Darkseid apparently didn't decide to just obliterate him with his eye beams.
Maybe they're one of those like evil things. Hey, here's my plan, Superman.
Yes, it's the dumbest thing ever. Jimmy Olsen, of all people, is telling you Darkseid's plan. And so he tells you need to get Lex Luthor's key card from his car.
Yeah, from his car.
To rescue Jimmy from the robots. Again, famously, Superman is not able to just blitz in at super speed and save Jimmy from some robots. You need to get Luthor's car key, or key card from his car.
Yeah.
So you have to go all the way back to the beginning of the level.
Find this black car.
One specific black car.
Punch it.
Punch it till it blows up, get the card, go all the way back down. Again, I hope you remember exactly where you're going, because if you don't, you're going to be dinking around for a while. And by the way, the enemies respawn if you take too long.
Yeah.
And they're just chipping away at your life the whole time with guns.
Luckily, there's a lot of life ups in this level, so it's not too bad. But
there is. But, so you get in there, you free him, and that's when he reveals to you that Darkseid's plan is he's going to blow up this random parking garage with a bomb.
He could with his eyes, with his fists.
Yeah, he wouldn't need the bomb. Again, so Darkseid has this thing where he sometimes corrupts people on Earth. Like, he does this thing called Intergang, where he has people... This could be against Intergang. Intergang would be, you know, criminals in Metropolis, given technology by Darkseid, doing criminal things. Sure. That would have made sense. Darkseid, not so much. Anyway, comic nerd over, I guess. So your solution for this is to find the bomb in a room with another one of those kryptonite devices. You have to freeze the bomb and the kryptonite and escape. Like, literally all you have to do is you have to find the bomb, get in there. Oh, actually, I think first you have to throw 2 boxes on 2 laser lights to open the room. Where
I've been telling you about those boxes, brother.
Yes.
Don't ever fly with those boxes.
Oh, yes. They bug shit out.
Yeah. So what happened the first time I got to that part, again, this is like 15 minutes into the level.
Yes.
First time playing it, you have no idea what the hell you're doing.
Yep.
So I put one of the boxes down in a light pillar. Great. Yep. Everything's good. Yep. Picked up the other box. I'm like, man, this is taking too long. I'm going to fly.
Yep.
As soon as I pressed that fly button, the box bugged through the level. The box disappeared. There's no other fucking boxes, so...
Yeah, and you're fucked then.
I had to restart the level.
You can't open the door. Yeah. So yeah, you have to put the boxes on these laser lights for some weird reason. And again, this whole area drains your life because of the kryptonite thing. Yeah. And then you have to get in the room, you have to freeze the bomb, you have to freeze the kryptonite thing, well, at least the bomb. And then as soon as you do that, Jimmy comes out of nowhere and is like, Darkseid's really mad at you because you stopped his bomb. And so, again, he warns you that Darkseid's coming after you. He wants revenge. And so you start walking down the hallway, and Darkseid's just there down the hallway.
Yeah, he just appears.
He just appears. And again, the usual thing in this game, the solution to beating Darkseid is you laser him in the face for like 5 seconds, and he falls down. Now, he at least doesn't disappear. He just lays Spread Eagle perfectly stopped.
Yeah, like a comic book.
Like, yeah, like his arms and legs are straight out. Like, it's bizarre. And so you pick him up, or you freeze him and pick him up, whatever. I don't think it matters.
Don't even need to. It doesn't matter.
I think one time I was taking too long. Like, there was the respawns of the tanks and stuff.
Sure.
Were blasting me, so I had to put him down to go deal with the tank, and then he got back up. So he can get back up if you take too long. If you freeze him, it takes longer. Whatever. So you have to pick him up and take him all the way back through the entire level, back to the police car at the beginning of the level, to hand over Darkseid to the police.
They put him in cuffs and they book him in a county jail.
Yeah.
Darkseid.
There's no way they have anything capable of inconveniencing him for a second. But whatever.
They probably put like Scott Summer glasses on him so he can't just use eyes.
So you can't use as a mega beam, which, by the way, isn't just a laser blast. It literally, like, sends your soul to wherever he wants, basically.
Whatever.
He hit Batman with it and sent him back to the prehistoric times.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. There's literally a storyline of Batman, like, trying to work his way back to the present from caveman times to dinosaurs and shit.
That sounds amazing, actually.
It's an interesting storyline. But yeah, Darkseid has hacks I-beams, is what I'm saying.
I mean, he is literally comic book hacks. Like, he has, like, every possible power, doesn't he?
Yeah, he literally has a power in one thing where he gets killed by his son, who is another old god, by a bullet that fires back through time or some shit. It's a Grant Morrison comic, so it's pretty wild. Okay. And literally, he's dead, but he's never fully gone. And so they literally pick Dan Turpin, I think, who's like the head cop at the time in Metropolis, and they corrupt him, and like he inhabits Darkseid inhabits Turpin and starts turning Turpin's body into Darkseid. But he's so evil that it's like rotting his body, so it's just like a temporary thing. And then he's literally using Earth to figure out this thing called the anti-life equation, which basically lets him mind control everyone on Earth. Yeah. So everyone on Earth does exactly what he says at all times. That is Darkseid.
But why would he even need to do that? Like, he's so strong. Why does he need that many minions?
I think it's kind of like he's so strong that he has to have a purpose in life kind of thing. Like, his purpose is this anti-life equation. Like, he wants to not just be powerful enough to take things over. Like, he wants just everyone to worship him, basically. Okay. Like, because they have no will of their own, basically. So it's kind of like, that's just his thing. But again, you can't just throw Darkseid in a game and have no freaking idea what he's too big.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, I was telling you this story earlier. So, like, when I was playing this, my wife happened to come home, and I'm like, hey, come down and check this out. And she's like, what do you want? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so here's Darkseid. It's the most powerful maybe character in like comic books. Yeah. Like, at least in probably like the top 20 something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's consistently up there.
Yeah, there's like the Watchers. Well, maybe I'm talking DC or Marvel. I don't fucking know, but whatever. I'm not a comic book guy, but if you read those charts, he's up there. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, check this out. What do you think the most powerful character in comic book history is going to do? She's like, probably something really dumb. I'm like, okay, yeah. I went there and I just slapped the shit out of him, and I brought him to the police. Yep. She's like, what?
Yep.
What?
That's it.
What is... Okay, whatever.
Darkseid. So yeah,
that's it.
So that level really pissed me off. It was long and tedious.
What a joke! I mean,
so anticlimactic. Yeah. And literally, there are harder bosses by far than Darkseid in the game. Like, he is one of the easiest, most anticlimactic.
He does nothing. Does he have his Omega beams or anything?
He probably does. I never gave him a chance to try. The funny thing is, he doesn't even start to attack you until he finishes walking towards you, and he walks really slow. So again, I've never let him get close enough. For a while, I didn't have my beams at him, so I was just flying away from him, and he could never catch up with me. Okay. Like, he won't even do anything until he gets close enough to you, I think, to talk to you or something. I never gave him the chance.
I just went and slapped him a few times, and he fell over.
Yeah. I don't think he's coded, like, at all. Okay. I'm not even sure if he does anything, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then Mission 10 is the Star Lab, which I think there are places where it says Stars Lab, and that's not DC, that's Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if that was a guide or if that was actually in the game. It wouldn't surprise me either way. But it's the same as the Dam and the LexCorp levels. You're just running around hitting computers, beating up crab monsters to free Professor
not
Hamilton.
Much to talk about here.
No, the most interesting thing is you're beating the parasite by trapping him instead of beating him up, which makes sense because he's a guy that sucks Superman's powers, or he drains his powers. So he's not a guy you should beat in a hand-to-hand fight. So whatever, it's vaguely thoughtful, but whatever. There's just way too much back and forth. And again, if you were trying to do this trial and error, you'd get so frustrated.
I mean, this is like a 5-minute mission once you know what you're doing, so it's not that bad in the grand scheme of things.
It is funny when you trap the parasite. He says, "You've beaten me, but the professor is still trapped." And it's literally just busy work at that point to free the professor. There's no danger left in the level at that point.
Like, why doesn't Superman just break through the rocks and just rescue him?
I know.
Why does he have to go turn off lasers?
It's dumb.
It's dumb.
Yeah, so that level was pretty forgettable. And then mission 12. So this is the first level that you can't play this on either easy or normal mode, I believe. Or maybe
no, you can play it on normal, but you can't get past it.
You can't get past it, yeah. So this is one that I didn't initially play. I had to go through on Superman mode to do it, or to get past it. And this is either the easiest level in the game or the hardest, depending on whether or not you believe the bullshit lying guides, multiple guides that tell you that you have to kill all the mooks in this level, most of whom have rocket launchers that can easily kill you with.
Well, you know what the funniest thing about this game is that there's only like 2 guides out there on the internet.
I found a few. There's like 2 guides on GameFAQs.
Yeah,
there's one on IGN that was pretty decent.
Okay.
I'm sure I found 1 or 2 others. Like a bunch of them were saying, you got to kill all the mooks. You got to do this. Some of them were saying you have to walk, which is dumb because then the train hurts you. If you're flying, at least it doesn't hurt you. The train doesn't. The mooks will still kill you dead easily.
I don't know. I only saw the 2 GameFAQ guides, and those were okay. There's some stuff missing from each one of them. But
this level, almost everyone but that one IGN article seemed to get this mission wrong.
Yeah.
Because again, if any fact says you have to beat any of the mooks, they are lying.
If you have to do anything in this level, it's a wrong guide.
Yeah, literally, this level is you're going down a metro, a subway, subway tunnel, and you're just flying down the tunnel. And so, again, while you're flying, you're kind of invulnerable to the train, so you can ignore it. I mean, it gets in your way, but you can ignore it. You're just trying to not get blown up by the rockets. So you want to be at top speed when you're passing the mooks, otherwise they hit you with rockets. And so you just have to go all the way down to the end of the tunnel, and then there's some guys that are like, "Mwahaha, we blocked the tunnel." And then you have to turn around and run back quick before they blow you up, and go all the way back to the beginning of the stage, same thing, and then they tell you there, "You thought you could escape this way. Mwahaha, no, you can't." So then you got to fly all the way back down to the end of the stage again, and then almost the very end of the stage, at the train station, there's one of the mechs that you killed in the earlier
That's kind of like in the middle, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not all the way back.
Yeah.
And you just have to beat up this mech, and as you're beating it up, he fires off a rocket that hits the ceiling and makes this stereotypical, like, jagged opening in the ceiling with blue sky through it, and you fly up to there, and then you escape.
Yeah.
And again, if this is supposed to be a mock-up of real life, you just left all those people and those crashed trains and everything there to die.
Not only that,
to escape.
But if Superman just had to escape the metro, all he had to do was fly up.
Yes. It's the dumbest thing.
It's concrete. It's
doesn't
Superman.
make any sense. Yeah, the rocket was able to blow a hole that Superman wasn't able to blow open into the ceiling.
I
don't know what the point of this level is.
I guess the thing is, like, how do you make a Superman game at all, unless everything is kryptonite, which would be dumb because it's supposed to be so rare.
I guess that's what they're going for, and they don't explain it.
Well, he's in a virtual world, so they must have just nerfed him, I guess.
That's supposed to be it, I guess. But again, they don't even begin to explain.
Then why can he fly? Like, why can he do Superman shit but not be Superman?
Like, he has some of his powers, but not all, or they're all nerfed or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's kind of the thing. Like, they built Superman to be so strong that it's kind of hard to, like, have him do normal shit nowadays.
I've seen good comics, but the power creep is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
You get much, much stronger enemies that like no one else should be able to fight.
Yeah, he's so absurdly strong. Like, a laser beam shouldn't be able to, stop him from doing anything.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, this level also had, there's near one of the areas near the end, there's a guy that you can talk to who, says he's going to hide here.
Yeah.
And, like, there's no point to even talking to him.
No.
Like, you could talk to him, and I guess maybe you think you're supposed to save him, but you're not. Like, it doesn't matter.
I want to say this is one of those missions that they, like, half-coded.
Yes.
And then just kind of ran out of time. And
yeah, because there's a bunch of side rooms that have life-ups and stuff. And
you can clip through the stage easily in those side rooms, too.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
And again, they're all full of these mooks, most of which have rocket launchers that can kill you in, like, 3 or 4 hits. Like, there's no point engaging in any of it.
No.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just skip through it, or just,
So that leads to what I'll say is the most, like, entertaining ring levels.
Sheesh.
So right after the stage, you can only get to these ring levels on superhero mode.
Yep.
Like the first ring level has this, what's her name? Mira or something?
Mala.
Yeah. So she is randomly flying with you through the ring levels.
Yeah.
You can catch up to her, and then you receive, if you catch her in time, you receive some message that says, like, you've captured Mara.
Mala, yeah.
Or Mala, whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing ever comes of it.
No.
There's no reason to. You don't need to in order to complete that level either.
Yeah, I mean, I skipped that level, but it wasn't any kind of requirement to...
So, I don't know. I'm assuming that was some half-coded thing in there that they meant to be something and it just wasn't, or they forgot to take it out. I don't know.
That
but
almost would make the ring levels interesting.
Yeah, if you had to, like, catch up to something, that would also make it infuriating.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So there is every single trope after that level.
Yes.
So all the Dark Shadows, it basically goes through everything you've done before. You have to like help an old guy walk on a skyline from left to right, and defeat like four Dark Shadows in the way.
Yeah.
You have to throw cars out of the path of like a skateboarding kid. You have to it's like everything you've done up to that point. You have to destroy the mind machines, which is always the worst part.
Oh yeah, those things are annoying because they can kill you really quick too, and you have to approach them from a way where you don't run into one of their bombs,
or you don't like completely miss them.
And when you grab them, you kill them by throwing them in midair, and that kills them.
Yeah, they just randomly explode.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I don't get it. So my biggest pain with those levels is I just lose track of them.
Yes.
So you're flying around for like a minute, like shit. Where is this thing? Like.
Yeah. If you go a little too far out of the way, you lose them.
Yeah, or you just fail the mission randomly. Yeah. Like, it'll bomb enough stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
You have to blow tornadoes. You have to do all that stuff before you get to the starship or the spaceship.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the spaceship.
Oh, yeah, I think I did play some part of that level where I was... There's 2 skateboarding guys going ahead. Maybe this was level 9 or something, and you had to, like, beat all these enemies to keep them alive before you got to... I can't remember which level that was, but I was playing that one.
Well, there's one of them, too, where you kill all the enemies, but then you have to wait for these fucking kids or people to walk through.
Yes.
Which takes, like, 3 minutes.
Yes.
You're just standing there like, did the game bug?
Yeah.
Did I do this wrong? I don't know.
Yep.
One of the times I did that, I killed all the enemies. I was literally walking with a kid and I failed the mission.
Yeah.
And then I did the exact same thing and I succeeded.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's buggy as hell.
I don't get it. All right, let's talk about Brainiac's spaceship. The level that I was surprised to see you actually not only get to, kind of get to, but complete, because it is it's something else, dude.
Yeah, my justification for it is the ring levels weren't supposed to be in there, and you can play through effectively like I said, the easy mode really isn't any easier. It just takes out the ring level. So even they knew the ring levels were bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly happy to play through the non-ring level parts of those, but they don't let you skip just those and still beat the game, so fuck it. So anyway, yeah, I actually got through this. I did read a guide because the trial and error in these levels is insane.
You have to read a guide for this level.
So do you want me to go through how this level works?
Yes, because it's kind of like a multi-tiered. It is basically every annoying thing from all the previous levels in this level.
All together.
Every single annoying element is in here.
So you start off by beating up at least one of the crab creatures. You don't have to kill all of them.
It's 2.
Well, there are 2, but you don't have to kill both of them. You only have to kill one of them. Because if you kill one of them,
you had to do 2.
You don't have to. The other one drops down the thing. You can ignore it.
You can ignore that. You
can ignore that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
The first one you have to kill because that spawns the device. You need to get 12 devices, parts of this device that you'll need at the end of the level. So you have to kill at least the one crab creature. You can skip the other one. You can skip the robot. Fly up, which is kind of awkward. Get the device. I
was going to ask you about that.
Yes.
How much did you rage trying to fly up those little elevator holes?
Honestly, I raged for a bit at first, but then the hardest part for me was getting myself to fly like in the general area and then stopping.
Yeah.
And I would have been better if I had gotten better at using the brake by then. The hardest part is just getting there and then stopping, and then you can go up and down fairly easily, but it's just fussy.
The first time I played that level, I'm like, dude, Dave is going to have a fucking heart attack.
Yes.
He's going to...
because you go a little too far, and then you can't just back up. You have to turn around, which is super slow, and go a teeny bit forward, and it's super fussy.
It's so awkward.
Heaven forbid the robot followed you, because then he'll be in your fucking way.
Anyway.
Oh my god. So yeah, so I figured I got better at that. So you fly up, and then you grab the part, and that opens a laser door to the next room. You run up ahead, kill a crab. That opens the laser door. You grab part number 2. And part number 2 is in the middle of this room called the lightning room that you're going to be going through a lot in this level. And it's got all this lightning zooming, sparking around the room. Mostly hurts you if you're in the center of the room or near the center room. So you can fly around the sides and not get hurt. So you've grabbed part 3, part 2, which is right in the middle of the room. Go straight through the open doorway. You run to the next room and grab, to the right. You grab the heat vision and then land on the pad where the heat vision is, and you have to use your heat vision to hit a panel on the ground that disables the next laser door, and you have to grab a part there.
I got a question.
Yes.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
That was pretty obvious because when you land, as soon as I land, at first I didn't land on the platform.
Me neither.
So I was confused. Yeah. As soon as you land on the platform, it's pretty obvious, but just flying through it, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I didn't understand that. I picked up the heat vision, then I'm like, okay, what? What?
Yes. So you do that. One thing that is helpful here is if you fly out of the room and back in, it respawns the heat vision power up.
Yeah, you can stock up.
So you can stock up. So you always want to have max heat vision because you're going to use it a ton. So you grab part 3, like I said, you fly out, fly back through the lightning room into the next room. And you go straight across. There's 3 crabs. You can blast your heat vision, grab part 4.
Well, you don't even have to.
I mean, yeah,
I just started skipping them.
You can fly past them. I mean, I sometimes would do it if I had laser vision because I didn't want to have to dodge them. So if I had easy access to laser vision, I would just blast them.
I just kept flying over top and grabbing it and flying back. It was just like it got to be a lot quicker.
Yeah, if you're good at dodging them, the problem is if you get too many of those, you'll take hits if you're not careful. Sure. And there are certain times later in the level where you don't want to take hits. You want to have max life.
Well, anytime you take a hit, you have a chance to clip through a level, which is also a giant pain point.
Yeah. So again, there are parts in this stage where you can refill your heat vision, and so those stages I try and kill anything I can find with the heat vision, just so it doesn't come back, because they don't respawn in this.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I do that, and then I head back to the passageway you just passed, fly up to the next level, head to the center of the next room inside this weird windowed room, and then fly up again. And there's a whole bunch of RC cars with machine guns that you can mostly avoid, or you can waste your time throwing them, whatever. Get part number 5, and you can get a life up there. Yep. Grab both of those, head all the way back down. On the way, you have to notice one of the computers in the windowed room is lit up, and you have to activate that, and that opens up a thing elsewhere in the level. Backtrack to the lightning room, return to the room with the heat vision again, land on it again. There's now a new thing in that room that you have to do. Now you have to hit 2 things with your heat vision.
While you're on this platform, if you don't know that, well, you would know that by now.
But you'd have to know that you have to go back to the same room again and do that thing again that you just did, which isn't intuitive. And again, you fill up your heat vision because you're going to use it more. Then you that opens up the final doorway in the lightning room. You take that doorway, you kill another crab to open a laser door, then you head down a hallway with a bunch more crabs, which you can probably kill with the heat vision. That's what I normally do. And then you reach this large room with a huge red object in the center, which does nothing. Yeah. You fly down for part number 6. Then you get more of those, up-down passageways. So you fly down, both of them go to the same place. Down there, you grab part number 7, and then you have to start grabbing there's this thing where you grab a barrel, and there's a lit up spawning thing that spawns unlimited enemies if you wait long enough. Yeah. And you have to throw the barrel into the thing, but the whole time the enemies are trying to run up to you and grab the barrel and take it away from you so you can't use it or beat the shit out of you. And again, they respawn, and you're flying through this fairly small area, so if you're like me, you're not good at flying. You keep flying past the stupid barrel because you have to get it pretty specifically, or you have to walk up to it, which is even worse because then you're slow and they're wailing on you the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. Once I got to that point, I'm like, I got all the parts. I flew around. I'm like, I'm stuck. Yeah. I don't know what to do. Then I had to look up a video where it threw the barrel into the... Yes. I'm like, I don't know. The game doesn't tell you shit. Yeah, so. You
have to throw the barrel into the teleporter thing.
How would you know? I don't know.
The spawning thing. So yeah, you have to do that for both of them. Then, like I said, you had to grab part number 7. Now you head up twice to the ceiling of this area, and you repeat the barrel thing twice more and grab part number 8. And then there are these 2 sections aren't connected, so you have to go up both of them, which is annoying because the other ones aren't like that. And then you head back to the main area with the large red object, and you go to a near adjoining room and activate the computer that's going to be lit up there now. and that activates the teleporter in the big room, the room with the red object in it. You fly into that, takes you to a room that looks exactly the same, but is different, and has part number 9 in it. Then you fly down, go down again, do the same thing, except now there's the little robots, the little RC cars with the guns, which are even more annoying because they're just constantly shooting at you. So again, repeat the thing with the barrels in the spawning things. There's a cold breath down there, which you're going to need later, and another health up. Yep. You can grab part number 10 and 11. Then you return to the main level where you teleported in, fly into the adjoining room, activate the computer again, turns on another teleporter. You fly back to the large red object room and enter the teleporter, and that takes you to the final part, number 12. There's a couple more crabs you can kill, a final health up, and then you talk to the professor, and he tells you to activate the machine. So you do, and it immediately teleports you to an area with Brainiac.
Oh, I have to stop you.
Yes.
So, one, that scientist,
yes,
like the first time we got to him,
Hamilton, yeah,
I accidentally despawned him by like flying onto his head. I had to repeat the whole fucking level again.
Oh my god, that's annoying.
That sucks. Okay.
Yes.
2, did you know right away what computer you had to activate that?
No, that took me a while.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
I didn't know. He was like, activate the computer. There's no computer in that room.
Because most computers in this game are on the ground. This is the only computer in the game where you have to fly up to it.
But it doesn't look like a computer. It just looks like a totem pole or
somewhat
something.
lit up thing on the wall. Yeah. And the B button doesn't do anything until you're pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was annoying. And yeah, he doesn't direct you where you're at. You just
use the computer, bro.
So Brainiac shows up briefly, like he teleports you to somewhere, and then he says ha 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 blah blah blah, and then disappears. And it never really explains what this is, but it's a puzzle where it either starts you out at 1800 or 2200.
Yes.
And you need to get to 2000.
Yes.
And so you need to go through these teleporters.
But it doesn't say to do this.
No.
Like if you play this without a guide, like I did the first time, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, this area I hated. So you have to go through the teleporters. Each teleporter will increase or decrease your number by 25 or 50, and they're always in the same place. But when you teleport through one side, I think there's 2 different mirrored rooms.
Yes.
So it's because you enter through one teleporter, then that one doesn't exist, and you have to figure out it's a little bit. You can kind of figure out, okay, it's always the one on the right or it's always the one on the left.
But everything looks identical.
Yes.
So it's kind of a gigantic nightmare.
Yeah. So you kind of have to figure out which one you want. And again, sometimes it's 1800, sometimes it's 2200. So you have to figure out, do I want the ones that go down or do I want the ones that go up? And also, every time you go through the teleporter, 2 crabs spawn right next to you. You need to immediately fly and get away. Otherwise, if they hit you, they one-shot you.
Yeah.
They just straight up murder
I don't know.
you.
These are the only crabs in the game that just randomly one-hit you.
And again, you're almost at the end of the level, so you have to redo the whole freaking level at that point.
This is like 15 minutes into the level. Like, that's if you know what you're doing.
Yes. And again, I read a guide that was saying you should kill the crabs first so they don't keep respawning and killing you. No, you cannot. They keep respawning regardless.
Yeah.
There's no killing them.
And they one-shot you anyway, so like... Fuck that.
I mean, I think you could kill them with the heat vision or whatever, or if you were really, really lucky with punching them, but there would be no point.
You would never want to risk it that far into the mission.
Yeah, you would never want to risk it. So you get it to 2000, and then does this thing where it's putting his computer on the fritz or whatever, and so it teleports you again. Now you're to the almost final area of the game, and you see Jimmy Olsen there.
As if the game wasn't already annoying enough.
Yes.
You get to this stage, or this part, which might be the most annoying part in the entire game.
Yes. So you see Jimmy, and you fly over to talk to him. And this is another one where you're in the room with the heat vision. So you get the heat vision, you shoot 3 spaces now, and that opens up the next doors, whatever. And you talk to Jimmy, and so again, you're outside the lightning room. And when you talk to Jimmy, he's like, we need to rescue Lois. And so apparently what he's coded to do, and the AI is buggy as fuck, but what he's coded to do is to walk into the lightning room, and then hang a right, and then walk into the safe room.
Yes.
If you do nothing, he will walk in and he will be murdered by the lightning.
Yes.
And he does that every time if you don't stop him.
And he like guns out to it too.
Yeah, he doesn't go slow. So you need to freeze him with your freeze breath that you got earlier. Hope you got that earlier. If you're not, you're fucked.
No, there is a freeze breath right before.
There's one there. That's right. But anyway, you freeze him and then you have to push him. And again, this is the lightning room, so it's damaging you the whole time. So you need to on foot. I think on foot. Maybe you can do it flying.
I think it's all on foot.
Yeah, because I think if you're flying, you'd be so wobbly.
It'd be great if you could just lift him up, but you can't.
I don't think you can, yeah. So yeah, you have to push him into the center of the room and then shift around to the side, perpendicular, and push him into the safe room. You're going to take probably a quarter of your life or half of your life.
And we're talking Superman 64 controls.
Yes.
The worst of the worst.
Yes.
And you have to tightly push this kid around a tight, like narrow path.
Yeah, and you would think you could just push him straight, but it like you get the angle just a little bit wrong, and he starts edging toward the side of the platform.
And you can push him off.
Yes, and if you do, you're fucked.
Yeah, he dies.
Yeah. So you have to carefully push him through, and then once he unfreezes, he's like, "Thank you, Superman. Now go save Lois." Again, every now and then he's bugged. One time I did this, and then he turned around and went back into the lightning room.
He wanted to die.
Yeah, he wanted to die. And I kept freezing him to try and stop him, but I had to just let him go, and then he just walked in there and he died.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do the first time either, so I froze him. I got him into the room that he's supposed to be in.
Yeah.
He unfroze, and he ran off a cliff.
Yep.
He just darted off a cliff.
Buggy is all fun. He's got to be the most buggy NPC in the game.
And this is 20 minutes now into the game. Like,
yes,
this is a level, tedious point of the game.
Super tedious. So you head over to the other just open doorway to find Lois, surrounded by two robots who aren't attacking her. They're just, or two crab robots.
Hanging out,
They're just hanging out. I guess you have to blast them. Maybe you could ignore them. I don't know. I just blast them with heat vision. Yeah. Then I freeze her because she has a death wish too. Yep. Freeze her, do the same thing, get her over where Jimmy is. And then both of them walk over to this laser barrier and mention the 3 bombs that are going to destroy the spaceship, or you need to destroy the spaceship.
And what are these bombs? You don't know. You just heard about it 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, you've never seen a bomb like this, I don't think. Don't think there's anything like this earlier in the game. So this triggers the actual boss fight with Brainiac, which I think is easiest. Like, he's in the middle of the lightning room. So again, if you stand there fighting him, you're getting zapped by lightning.
Yeah.
But the easiest way to do it, I think, is you fly up to him, breathe cold breath on him, which frees him solid, push him off the platform, and then you can fight him down below where there isn't lightning and you're not getting zapped. But honestly, all you have to do is blast him with your heat vision. But
that's all I did. Yeah.
But if you're up on top, you're getting hit, and I think it can interrupt your heat vision, so it's kind of more annoying.
Sure, I don't know.
It doesn't probably matter that much.
Yeah.
But anyway, you just have to blast him for 5 seconds or so with your heat vision, and again, super anticlimactic. It kills him. Then you fly up to the passage where you found Lois, and now there's a red beam there that you can fly into to start the self-destruct sequence. You're not done yet. No. You have to head to the side chamber and up and activate back to that windowed room and activate the computer in there and return to the lightning room again, and there's another gate that's open. And there you find the first of the 3 bombs. You have to find the bomb, you have to activate it, and then you have to get behind the force shield or you blow up. And you have 6 seconds to do that after the bomb is activated.
Doesn't tell you this, by the way.
No.
So it's either trial and error or you looked it up.
Yep. First time I tried this, I screwed it up entirely. I think second time I threw the bomb into the center of the room, which you're supposed to do because the lightning activates the bomb. Yeah. And then I was trying to fly over, and I screwed up something in the controls because I spaz out with the N64 control, and I got stuck and you have 6 seconds, like I said, so I got stuck on something and I couldn't move, and I blew up and lost the level. I had to start all over again.
Yep, 20-something minutes.
Yep, so you do that, super simple. Then, so again, you have to just get behind this platform, which you have very little time to do. I think you can cheese it a little by moving close to where the wall, where the force field is, if you know where it is, and then throw it and then back through it, but whatever. And then you have to do this thing twice where you kill some crabs, you get the next bomb, you get near the teleporter in the room with the large red object, and you throw it, you blast the bomb with your heat vision, and then it activates the teleporter and you go through it, and then you go through the force field before it blows up.
What happens if you have no heat vision at that point? Because
you're probably fucked. I don't know. Yeah, again, there's a lot of things it assumes here. You were just through a thing where you got more heat vision. So
maybe it respawns. I don't know.
Unless you wasted it, I think you can still get it.
Okay.
But you have to do that twice. Again, there's 2 of those rooms with the red thing in the center, so you have to do that twice. So that's bomb 2 and bomb 3. Then it literally takes you to a room with a literal large "The End" sign. In the wall, and you have only 6 seconds to fly into it, or you lose.
See, no, I think you can actually just stay there.
Can you? Okay, I thought. Well, there's a timer, so I assumed. I guess I didn't.
The timer, I think, is just for the last bomb to blow up, but you're already through the teleporter, so it doesn't matter.
You might be right, but yeah, it's a literal "The End" sign. And of course, when I did it, it was really buggy. I think something about the way I was flying, it caused you freeze in place after you end, and it says you win, blah blah blah, and it's spazzy and rotating around me, doing it's all fucked up while it's trying to show me whatever. And then it shows you the tiniest little cutscene showing that your friends that you saved. It looks exactly like the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's identical,
except it has Superman in his Clark Kent outfit. Ooh, big surprise. And then it shows Luthor. You thwarted Luthor, but he's still up to something in the real world, What a super joke.
I have to do this. Hold on. I have to Did I send you this in a message? The Wall of Shame for Superman 64.
I don't know about that.
Oh shit! I didn't. Hold on. I'm looking through my photos. We have to do the official Wall of Shame here. So I'm pretty sure I took one the other day. Because so the most embarrassing part of this game is not how bad it is. It's not how pathetic it is. It's that the programmers literally actually put their names at the end of this game. As in they accomplished something.
Yes.
This isn't all the programmers because one of them was cut off. So whoever this is, hey, consider yourself lucky. All right.
Right.
Benoit Blanchard, Wall of Shame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacques Chevalier, Wall of Shame.
Yeah.
Laurent Duplice. I might have said that wrong.
Yeah.
You're in the Wall of Shame.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
And again,
embarrassing.
Like I said, I would feel bad putting my name on this. I'm not sure if there was any way they could have finished the game in the time they had, or I don't know if they just weren't capable of doing as involved. I think they had grand plans for this game. Apparently, people were hotly anticipated. This is one of those games where they had so much feature creep, or they thought they could do more with the N64.
They did. I remember seeing this in ads when I was a kid. I'm like, this actually looks interesting. The screenshots were not of the game.
Yeah, they had a version that they were showing to the press that the press was excited about.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up having to change and pull things because of, feedback from Warner Brothers or DC or whoever. I like I said, I don't know if they possibly could have done better. It's just...
they had a large spread in Nintendo Power with a full pull-out poster, by the way.
Yeah.
You would think that you'd have... okay, not all great games had the pull-out posters. Like War Gods, I think, on Nintendo 64 that had one.
Yeah.
There's a game called Bio Freaks that was supposed to come out or something that had one.
Yeah.
Just never got released. But, they probably paid Nintendo money to put a large spread in Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
This is the game you got. I could imagine as a kid being a Superman fan, being like, oh, Mommy, I want this for Christmas. And you receive this. What the fuck is this?
Yep.
This is trash.
Yeah, and again, they have a beta version that's been released, which you can get the ROM and play. There are parts that exist in the beta better than in the finalized version.
But unfortunately, they also fuck some things up in the beta, so it's not great.
It's clearly a beta. It's clearly less far along, but there are things like the controls menu that exist in the beta that were pulled out of the main game, and they didn't have time to finish it.
Yeah.
There's more cutscenes. There's more involved, more detailed cutscenes.
It looks more finished, but they also took away things like running into enemies that actually made the official version a little bit more playable. I don't know, but
so different. I don't want to get on the case of the developers. I think there's a lot of problems with this game, but I think definitely part of it was having to pull things out because of feedback, executive meddling, whatever.
I can understand some bugginess. If you're in a rush, it's an early 3D game. Some of these games are just buggy as shit to begin with.
Yeah,
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Being the main point of our games is flying through rings as Superman.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who the hell made that decision?
Yeah, they should have just left the rings out and left it a short game. It probably would have been better.
I mean, Aquaman's a GameCube game and it takes 3 hours to beat the entire thing.
Yeah. The rings should have been just a trial thing. I mean, it's been said before, but
Yeah, that's your practice stage is hey, fly through some rings, it's cool, Superman.
Yeah. So would I play this again? Hell to the no. It loses points for, being horribly buggy and unpolished, ridiculously bad sound, music, and graphics, awkward controls, both flying and combat, unsatisfying, unfun, tedious objectives, particularly the odd levels, the flight level or the ride levels, horrible use of the license. I guess you could say it's better than games where like the Ninja Turtles where you have the random enemies. At least here you're fighting a lot of Superman enemies. I mean, the robots are pretty generic, but
I would say Dark Shadows.
I mean, no, I'm not even talking, I'm talking about the bad guys.
Okay.
You have a
there's
decent
Brainiac, there's the Parasite, Metallo.
Yeah, they made pretty good use of that, but only barely. They barely did anything.
Luther's in a cutscene.
They barely did anything. They barely used any of their powers. So
Luther's cars in the game.
That's giving them a ton of credit.
Darkseid is in the game.
Yeah, there's none of the personality of the characters. No, they barely have any combat ability. It has the tiniest kernel of fun. I think in the flying part underneath mountains of dross, but the developers either didn't seem to know that was the fun part, or they didn't seem to know what to do with it to give the player more of it. Just taking that bit of flying part, which can be fun, and just giving you something fun to do with it.
Yeah,
letting you fly around in the world and have active things in the world. You probably could never have done that in the N64, but you know, they maybe could have done something.
I mean, maybe like you look at Ocarina of Time, and it's a massive open world with a ton of shit going on. Like,
yeah, I wonder. I'm trying to. I know there are games like
possible.
I think Donkey Kong 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. Some of those had big.
There's a whole bunch. Rocket Robot on Wheels or whatever the hell it's called. That's another open worldy kind of thing.
Some of those, I don't know if they needed extra chips. I'm not super familiar with the N64. If they needed to beef up.
Yeah, trying to think if there's anything else. It's kind of. I mean, there's a lot of like 3D open world-ish type of things that are, you know, playable.
Yeah, if they just used those flying mechanics in an open world with random thing, you know, kind of like an Batman Arkham kind of thing. If they were able to do just the tiniest kernel of that on the N64, that could have been interesting.
Yeah.
The rings, no, absolutely no. The weird puzzly levels, like if they could have, you know, hashed those
puzzles
out.
Are a mess.
Yeah, if they could have hashed those out, you know, given you actual text explaining better what's going on. You know, obviously fixed all the bugs and the clipping and shit. It could have been maybe a 2 or, you know, a 2.5 or something. As it is, I give it a 1.
Okay.
Because it's barely a game.
See, you know, this is one of those weird anomalies for me.
Yeah.
So I've beaten this game twice. I beat it first on normal mode like 2 years ago or something like that. And I was pissed off because the game just ends. It says, played on superhero mode, you little bitch.
Yes.
Okay. So then in preparation for this, I went back and beat the entire game in Superman mode.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You know, to me, this is one of those games that's so bad it's almost good.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to torture someone with.
Yeah, there are fun parts of this game that I do actually enjoy. I'm one of those weird people that I actually enjoy the ring levels in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where it's like I enjoy Nintendo 64 racing titles, and that reminds me of it reminds me of like, okay, I'm going to get roasted for this, but it kind of reminds me of like the Diddy Kong Racing airplane mode.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the controls kind of like it. It's not bad. It's just...
I think I read somewhere that the controls were the same used in a flight game somewhere, or they were intended for a flight game somewhere.
Makes sense.
It feels like you're a ship, not a man.
Right.
Not a flying man.
When you're on like the I'll just call them the real levels. I don't know what to call them, but like the real missions where like missions. You're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Being able to walk around and then just press Z at any point and just fly around at max speed feels kind of cool at times.
Neat. Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can pick up and go. There's no other Nintendo 64 game that I know where you can just like from a standstill just fly around wherever the hell you want in the level.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the fun ends.
Like I said, I could see if you got rid of the clipping, if you got rid of the bugginess and so forth, if you show me a finished version of this game, I could see a 2.5 easily.
The clipping to me is actually what makes it better.
I guess
because it's so dumb. Like you'll just be like flying into a wall and you'll just clip right through the wall. Yeah. Sometimes you can get back to the level. Sometimes you just fall further into the abyss.
Yeah, you
just go into the void, and then Superman, like his graphics, his character will just start tripping out in weird ways.
Yeah.
Like you'll lose your head, you'll lose your arms. Like it's interestingly terrible.
Yeah, it's an interesting game to just play just to see how weird and wacky and gonzo it is.
Yeah,
it don't play it for being a Superman fan. Like so they barely use it's a lot like Aquaman. It's a bad licensed game where they barely use any of the characters.
Aquaman at least had a story that you could kind of follow. Like it had a bare bones story, but
this is much worse. This is a much worse story.
This has your Superman in a virtual world. That's the story.
Yes,
I guess I don't know
because they didn't have the technical the technical limitations stop them from presenting what would look like a realistic metropolis. I think.
Like the more I play this game, the more I don't respect it, but I think the more random shit I find somewhat entertaining.
Sure.
In that bad way.
Sure.
As far as the good things, like the real good things, I don't know. There's like most people get to the ring level, it's done.
Yeah.
I created a post on Reddit. I actually said like, hey, I beat Superman on 64 mode. Like, ask me anything about it.
Yeah.
Most of the questions were why.
Yeah.
Okay. Can't really answer those. But a lot of the people were just like, I played the tutorial and I gave up.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. You know, a lot of people don't like those controls. If you're good at the 64, you're good at racing games, you might enjoy the ring levels.
Yeah, and I'm not, and it's possible that playing through this has made me better at other games because the controls in this are so bad, I think you have to get reasonably good at the N64 controller to have any chance in hell.
I bet you can pick up like snowboard kits now and actually like do something in it.
I did try, and I need more help with that one.
Okay,
I think I'm a little. There's something about the controls on that are a little don't quite work in my brain yet, but I think I'm closer.
There's some games like Aero Gauge, I think it's called. It's like a horrible racing game on 64. That one I can never figure out the controls, but
I think I would do better at a standard racing or flying game now.
Yeah, Mario Kart. Start out small.
Yes.
Pilot Wings would be a good one.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a control fest.
Yeah.
For 64, and it's fun. It's frustrating as shit, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to my rating for Superman 64. There are worse 64 games. Carmageddon is a fucking miserable nightmare in 64. It is not fun in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
There are some other games like that, like Transformers Beast Metals or Beast Wars,
Beast
whatever
Machines,
it's called.
Beast Wars?
I think it's called Beast Wars.
Okay.
It's a fighting game.
Sure.
Horrendous.
Sure.
Buggy, shitty nightmare.
Yeah.
There are games like that on 64 that are just like not fun.
Yeah.
You put them in the system, it's like, I can't do this. We beat Superman 64.
Yeah, it's beatable, more or less. The ring.
You can now say that you beat Superman 64.
Asterisks. But
if I say I beat Carmageddon 64, no one's going to say anything. They'll be like, oh, why? Like, whatever. No big deal. I'm giving it a 2. 2 out of 5.
All right.
It's not as high as maybe you might think, but it's not as low as you might think, because it is genuinely entertaining in a weird way.
Yeah. Like I said, Aquaman is just boring. This one...
Aquaman's boring as shit.
This one does have a kernel of interest there, more so, I think, than Aquaman even does, but it's just got so much more nonsense heaped on top of it.
Which makes it more fun.
Yeah, I could see that.
Being able to fail a mission by doing the mission correctly.
Yes. It's
amazing.
You have to go in and just be like, I'm going to be repeating this a bunch of times. It's buggy as shit.
This is a nonsense, horrible piece of shit game, but it's funny because it is.
Yeah, it would probably be a funny game to play at a party and just like pass it back and forth.
Just put it on in the corner. That'd be the only game out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people would pick it up and have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, you can't. You have to have a tolerance for nonsense.
I like the Jaguar, so there you go. I'm used to shit at this point.
Yeah,
but I think that's it, Dave. I think we're gonna come back and talk about Mario RPG.
Yeah, sounds fun.
We'll see in a month or so, or whenever we get around to it. But it's a fun game. It's relatively quick, and the remake is coming out soon, which I'm super pumped for. So
yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dave, I think we're good.
Sounds good.